Oh, yeah, we're going to have some fun. Oh, yes, your eyes don't deceive you. It's the wonderful Chris Fisk on the 4 Club Shadow. Yo, yo, yo. It's, hey, Chris.
What up?
Now, you don't come on camera just for anybody. I can tell.
Yeah, I've got a face for radio, voice for print. So
You do not. And you've got a great broadcast booth or whatever you want to call it. I call it a booth when I want to hop in the shower back here. But yeah, it'd be hot, Chris. It'd be hot. I like your campaign. I mean, you broke the mode. Your second campaign has actually done better than your first campaign.
Oh yeah. That was a surprise.
That doesn't always happen, a lot of creators get disillusioned at how much they make and how hard it is to do a crowdfunder. I mean, it's fact as far as getting the numbers up there, unless you're, maybe what they say CG's made for, which is kind of cancel culture professionals that's already working for Marvel and DC,
Yeah.
I don't have that hanging around my neck. I don't think you do, but congrats on making more on your second campaign than your first. That's a good feat. Not all the books do that, do they?
No. Usually the trend is, the sophomore slump. Your first book does great, and then the second one kind of trails off, and then by the third, it's and the like you were saying, like it really like demoralizes people. So yeah.
Well, I mean, on the old spinner racks, I mean, or at your local comic book shop for that matter, second issues aren't ordered as much as first issues.
Nope.
Traditionally. So you usually in mainstream even lose ground on the second issue for a lot of books,
Yeah.
What do you attribute sort of your own book, your Chronicles book, as doing better the second time around? Somebody must have got the word out, huh?
Well, I definitely owe a lot to Michael Bancroft. He had a launch party with this, and yeah, we actually we got fully funded.
Him the ambassador.
Yeah, he's definitely like he's got the Bancroft magic because that we fully funded within an hour, and we actually unlocked a stretch goal in that hour. So I was like, okay,
I mean, that's a great feeling. I got started with really sold on crowdfunding through just seeing, Ethan's campaign, his second campaign, make 100,000 in 5 minutes. That's incredible.
Yeah.
That's almost incredible as seeing super chats totaling $1,000 on his channel in about 30 minutes or whatever, less than 30 minutes. It's just wow.
Yeah.
And that's one person. That's not all the rest that's trying to super chat, and everything.
Well, that's also years. Like what we're seeing isn't the full picture. Like he didn't just magically appear on the scene and get all that money. Like this is an established name. He's been in the industry.
It does make you salivate as a fairly new creator, but now your Chronicles has been in your head for like 30 years, right?
Oh yeah. It started as kind of a fever dream of a dyslexic 12-year-old at a library.
Oh, I thought it was actually you playing Devil's Lair or whatever, with the little lances or something, and the ostriches or whatever it's called.
Joust, yeah. No, it started as a tabletop role-playing game, kind of like Dungeons and Dragons.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of got bit by the I can do that too bug when I was young, the arrogance of youth. And I started making my own kind of Dungeons and Dragons-esque role-playing game system. But because it was the library, the books were often checked out. And I wasn't, I didn't have the money to keep up with all the new editions because I was right on the cusp between 2.5 and 3. So it was like all of a sudden all the rules started changing. And I was like, screw it, I'm going to make my own. And I didn't want to rip off Dungeons and Dragons because Dungeons and Dragons was pretty much a ripoff of Tolkien. And I didn't want to be a ripoff of a ripoff of a ripoff. So I just, this is before the age of Google. I just scoured the depths of the Pelham Public Library where I grew up. And I was lucky to get access to a lot of old folklore books, a lot of books that generally aren't written in English. And some of them that I read were actually hand translated. So I thought that was really cool.
That is neat. Yeah. That's kind of like the monks used to do with different manuscripts and everything by hand, even with little illustrations and things in them. Now, fortunately, we don't have to work on sheep vellum. Sheepskin, I did hear about the passing of Hulk Hogan and of Ozzy Osbourne. So within a week, you've got two big names that's kind of universally known pass away. I actually went to some Hulk Hogan movies that he was in because he, some of those wrestlers made it in the movies. I mean, one big one, is probably one of the biggest stars out there right now, doing movies.
Well, I think that's kind of the goal of wrestlers. I think professional wrestlers getting into Hollywood is kind of like the end goal because professional wrestling is not a long-term career goal and it's really not good for your health. So I kind of celebrate when wrestlers get into Hollywood. It's like, all right, good for you, man. You get you.
Right. Yeah. We got Peacekeeper. He's an ex-wrestler, that played Peacekeeper in the movies and stuff and on the TV shows. So, and with all the licensing deals, I suppose you can get at least cameo shots or something, with all the streaming stuff. Now, you seem like a tech expert, when I see your room around you, which I do not today, but I won't hold that against you. I thank you for coming on. I know we've had you on, I think, once talking about the War of the Trees campaign. Maybe it was pre-launch. I can't remember, but I didn't even know if you could make 4 o'clock. A lot of people that can't make 4 Central, they're more evening people because of work and other things like that. So I'm always glad to snag you, and especially during fulfillment time because it is still up on demand on Indiegogo. And so you were very humble with your response. You were like, well, my campaign's over. Well, but it's still in demand. I don't think it's out of circulation till you actually take it down. I've actually backed a couple of Jimmy Reyes. Dragon Rage was one of them. And Clint Helinski's Superiors was another. They had actually closed it down on Indiegogo. It had ended. but Indiegogo had not taken it down yet. So I was
Oh,
actually one of the last, if not the last backer on both those campaigns.
oh wow.
Sometimes I just get in right under the wire on some of
Yeah.
these.
The Indiana Jones hat.
Yeah,
Hey,
absolutely. Omer Glitch in the house, and we've got Elsie in the house. So you got Elsie
hey,
and Mike Walters. He's been here.
hey.
He's
Oh
saying
yeah, Theo
Malka
Huxtable.
passed away this weekend. Yeah. Well,
Man.
it's inevitable for all of us unless the second coming comes around,
Yeah,
Uh,
I'm just happy that I lived during their lifetimes, you know.
you're right. Yeah. Do you look at Ozzy, just this off the topic, but do you look at Ozzy as sort of the grandfather of heavy metal?
Oh yeah, without a doubt. I mean,
Yeah.
supposedly there's people that argue that like the family tree of heavy metal and stuff exists before Sabbath and all that, and it's like I don't know, man. I'm a kid of the '70s, you know. Like,
Yeah. Well, now I can name one group before Black Sabbath, I believe, which was very heavy, which was Blue Cheer. Look it up,
hmm
folks. Blue
hmm
Cheer. Uh, very hard stuff, but
oh yeah,
of course they didn't have the lasting power that Black Sabbath did. I'm just amazed that he did, and I know he was on doctor's orders, only to do so much.
yeah.
Um, for that last concert, but just days before passing away, he did the Black Sabbath farewell concert, though, which was all over the internet.
You
You know,
can't go out like a legend more than that. I'm sorry, but that is the perfect bookend to his life.
yeah, yeah, it really is. I mean, they had picture photos of him when he was young, in a throne, and he went out on a throne, sitting down. Shadowhawk in the house. Hello, Shadow.
Hey.
Late getting home again. Going to take the night off, Rex. Have a great show. Thank you, sir.
Ah.
Appreciate that. I'm sure you'll be out in the chat. Chris, so have you got your books back now? You're actually in wrapping up, or are you waiting? You kind of what? Where is
So
fulfillment at on your book?
So all of the digital perks have been fulfilled. Everybody
Okay.
that backed the digital perk, they already got it.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I'm in the process now. I got some glue drying. It looks like arts and crafts at Fisk's house. And yeah, I'm going to start fulfillment on Monday, and I'll be blasting through for the entirety of the week. Hopefully, I can get most of them out because I'm going to do it first come first serve because I
Well, you
feel
got to
like I
give
kind
that
of owe it.
Elmer's time to dry.
Yeah.
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 I didn't really understand that glue drying comment, but that's okay.
Yeah, well, some of the so like I'm assembling components. Like I have a bunch of slip cases for collector editions, and
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
yeah, and I the first 10 backers on Bancroft's show actually got a resin figurine with a little NFC chip in it that when you swipe it to the back of your phone or tablet, it'll play a little character bio movie.
That's cool. That is innovative. Maybe that glue will dry very quickly. Shadowhawk says 115 feet index, heat index, not feet. Why does my eyes say one thing and my mouth says another? Anyway, maybe it's funny. Today I'm a raisin, he says. Go bake some oatmeal raisin cookies, Shadow. It'll make you feel better.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love oatmeal raisin. Snickerdoodles aren't too bad either, but I was kind of late. I did prison ministry where we had to sort of sign on for 100 dozen cookies every time.
Oh wow.
That's
That's
a
a lot of cookies.
lot of cookies. Now you would get out there with your church families and stuff and say, "Can you bake me a dozen cookies?" So it wasn't
Mhm.
all on you. People would donate, but I don't. There was very few times that I actually made the 100,000 mark, and I did a lot of no bake cookies, like mud cookies, or they
Mhm.
call them Mississippi mud cookies. Have you ever had a mud cookie, Chris?
I think so. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
the
it's
it
like
hardens when it.
oatmeal, cocoa, chocolate, and you put it on a wax paper or aluminum foil, something like that, to let it dry. You just kind of
Nice.
spoon it out after you heat it up,
Oh
and
yeah,
then it
that sounds good.
hardens. It's got peanut butter in it. peanut butter and oats and chocolate. Yeah. Some
Nice.
get fancy and put M&Ms in there and really ramp up the chocolate, I also did something unconventional. My mother started doing these chow mein noodles. Just
really?
Chow mein noodles, and you do it much like it's a no-bake cookie too. It looked like a thorn cookie when you got it done. You put the chow mein noodles in the chocolate and then spoon them out. And
oh, that's nice.
They're actually pretty good, I'm just guzzling water at the moment. Yeah, well, you got to rehydrate that old prune.
Yeah, steaming.
And everybody wonders why I'm collecting drink boxes. It'd be hot out there. You got to drink something. But yeah, I've gotten into drink box. Like tomorrow, we'll have a lot of drink boxes, new drink boxes for my collection to show. I've got packets everywhere, folks. No one cares about losing the Hulkster.
Let me tell you something, brother.
Yeah, let me tell you something, brother. Yeah, I was, watched local Memphis wrestling with Jerry Lawler and other people like that. Mercy Daddy, snap into a Slim Jim. And I mean, ultimately, a lot of those got transported into the big WWA. Or whatever it's called. I mean, I don't watch wrestling anymore, but I grew up with wrestling. That's when the cartoons stopped on Saturday.
And
that
was how you knew it was over.
On and American Bandstand would come on, and different things like that.
Yeah,
I stopped watching wrestling a long time ago, but still sorry to hear about Hulk. Yeah, I mean, at 71, that's young anymore, Chris.
Yeah.
Maybe those steroids. You think he took steroids to get that big?
Who, Hogan? Oh, most definitely. Yeah, he was juiced out of his gourd most of his life.
Okay. Well, I mean, there's different thoughts on that, but steroids really take their toll on your heart and other, things.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I'll always remember him getting mad and ripping his shirt off. That was kind of his thing, wasn't it?
What you gonna do, brother?
No wrestlers ever endorse a president. Well, I mean, he did endorse President Trump. So a lot of people will remember him for that moment when he endorsed, there's Trump with his bandaged up, bloodied ear, and I doubt that there's been sort of a lead up like that, a whole week lead up, like that one. All those guys were juicing. Yeah, probably. And I've met, I can't remember his name, a legend within wrestling. I got to meet him, got a picture with him before he went on, we actually hosted him at our church, believe it or not.
Oh, nice.
And he came in and he drove a lot of miles. Especially back in the days when I was a kid in the 70s, 80s, they drove around to all these different venues. Jerry Lawler would come and others to Jonesboro, to our little wrestling place, which is still there. He came a few years ago, and I thought, but the very first comic book convention, Jerry Lawler, that I went to in 1983, Jerry Lawler was there.
Oh, nice.
Rich Buckler was there. Ron Wilson was there. Trying to remember some others.
Superstar Billy Graham.
Well, Billy Dundee, he came into town with, he's of Jerry Lawler and ilk, and time, and he came into town a lot. He was Australian, little guy running around.
Crocky.
So tell us about War of the Trees again. This is a more successful sequel, and I can't get over that. There have been a lot. I haven't seen it recently, but I'm told that there's some creators whining about their campaigns that you didn't support me enough.
Whoop.
And but I mean, people came out and supported you even more the second time. That really
Yeah.
that doesn't happen with every campaign. And um, do you think 3 might even top this one? I mean, that's the goal, right?
Yeah, yeah, that's what I'm aiming for. I mean, I send surveys at the end of fulfillment, like it's actually included in the box when you get your product, and I send the
Mhm.
emails out to the digital people, and it's anonymous, so there's no worries of like ruining cloud or getting canceled or whatever if you tell me certain things suck or you know you didn't like it or whatever. I appreciate that kind of feedback because it helps me improve the product. And
Mhm.
yeah, that's my goal is to give customers more of what they want and not waste my own money, resources on things that they
Right.
don't want.
Absolutely. You want to ramp up, you want to do better and better with every campaign, and it doesn't always happen. So you have
Mm.
to, you know, I know with my own campaign, you know, I had my friend that lives down the street. He
Mhm.
pro bono did a 29-page story and 2 covers for me, one for the ash can. He did one really for Devil Flyer early on, which turned out to be the cover in black and white for the ash can
Oh, cool.
that we did a couple years ago. And I just didn't think it was a banger of enough cover, you know, enough action going on, you know, for
Mm.
a main cover. And I said, "Would you do me another cover?" I know I'm bold because I'm not paying him. So this next campaign, you know, I won't have that 29-page story to already completed, you know. And he he was and we got it all completed in about 13 13 months, little over
Mm.
a year. Um, but now you're doing full color. What's the page count on these, Chris?
So it originally, so the first book was 54 pages. Hey, yeah, the first book was 54 pages, full color, and
Wow.
initially, the second book was originally planned to be 60 pages, and I submitted it out to my proofreaders, my editors, and they tore it apart, and they didn't like certain aspects of it. It wasn't that the story was bad; it's just the pacing was off. So I
Yeah.
gave them the rest of the 10-book script because I have this whole thing written out. It's been written for like 30 years. So we did a little choppy to make it more digestible because nobody, you know, I just can't afford to just drop one gigantic tome out at the beginning. So we're
Right.
doing it in this 10-book series. And they looked through the script and they liked it. And we made a lot of suggestions were made. We did a lot of chopping, a lot of moving around. And that initial 60 pages turned into 120 pages.
Wow. Well, we had
Yeah.
I mean, they did the same thing with the script of Star Wars, I'm told, you know. We
Hmm.
had Roland Mann from Silverline Comics on a couple days ago talking about how important pacing to a comic
Oh, God, yeah.
story is. Like, yeah, the 3 act type thing. But now in fantasy, how would you, what genre would you put that under? Sort of fantasy, what?
Yeah, yeah, I would say it's high fantasy.
Mhm.
A lot of it was when I was building the stories. A lot of it was based off of various cultural folklore. We didn't have Google back then, so I grabbed books like the Kalevala, the Kalevala, which is Finland's like kind of origin myths book,
Mhm.
and Snorri Sturluson's Walsung Saga, which is like basically all your Icelandic and Viking stories, the Book of Invasions, which is ancient Ireland's stories of the various races that came to Hibernia or Ireland, and then yeah, various other ones, the Mabinogi Welsh mythology, and that's actually where we get the title, the War of the Trees. The War of the Trees is the 10-book saga. It's the series. And it's based loosely off of elements of the Mabinogi, where they had the Cad Gatho, which literally means War of the Trees. And yeah, I based it off of that. So it does kind of have fantasy, but it's more, I would say, more of like Wagner's opera than Dungeons and Dragons, or you know the traditional like tropes that we see in fantasy these days.
Uh, you know, we are really talking about modern day mythology, you know, whether it be superhero genre or Western or,
Mm.
uh, you know, that's the way I kind of look at it. That is, this is our modern day mythology.
Yeah, yeah.
like you're talking about. And then you've got the cryptidnals that's been done, and there's people like cryptids. I love
Hmm.
that cartoon, Secret Six, I think it was, or what was it? I think it was Secret Six. Well, I might be getting the comic book. There was a Secret Six comic book. It was
Hmm.
called the Saturdays. Did you ever watch
Oh
the
yeah,
Saturdays on
I think
Cartoon
so.
Network?
Yeah, that
Yeah.
sounds very familiar.
It was kind of like Johnny Quest with cryptids, where you had a
Sasquatch.
family and had a Sasquatch type character that was real lovable. Hey, Carrie.
Hey.
Carrie's got one word in her today, and it's hey. Love the new photo, Carrie, looking down. With women, I'm sure a lot of people look down. Not down on women, but now some men do, but they do tend to look down at the breast. Just saying, okay, I'm going to back out of this.
My eyes are up here.
My eyes are up here. Hey, wait. Yeah, I was telling the story the other day that the sometime actress didn't do much really, but her claim to fame really was that she got married to Casey Kasem, the great radio host. Since we're
Zoinks.
listening to and yeah, I mean, he did Robin
Oh yeah.
in Super Friends, and even earlier than that, I think he did the Filmation Batman and Robin. He
Oh
did a
wow.
lot of played Shaggy on Scooby Doo.
Yep.
Did a lot of voice work. But Casey Kasem, his wife said that he was the only guy that could tell me the color of my eyes, and she was pretty well endowed, So I guess that was her litmus test. Motorboat. Oh, Omer, behave, will you? I feel like I'm stalking Chris. I was in chat on Pops' stream with Chris. Now, how long ago was that?
Was it Monday?
Oh, really? Okay,
Yep.
so you're still making the rounds, huh?
Oh yeah, yeah. I'm just grateful to have anybody that wants me to have wants me to be on to talk about my book. So I'm good, man. Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, you really have to think about, well, how much do I want to give away of the story, right?
Mm.
I mean, is that the same with you? I've given a lot of mine away over time.
Well, I mean, if you so we got the first book at 50 pages or 54 pages, second book at 120, and there's a free stretch goal bonus that comes with the with anything that's backed during this campaign, where you get a free preview of book 3, 40 pages. So I'm not really. I mean, there's plenty of story to go around. It's a gargantuan saga. So I don't mind leaking a little bit here and there. And
I know
yeah,
what she's talking about when you went on Pops' Monday, I think. Yeah. But now that's me on any given day. Is it Monday?
yeah,
And here it is Thursday,
yeah,
all week long. Is it Monday? Huh?
yeah.
Like Monday's the guy. Don't worry, Chris. I'm not lurking in bushes. I'm a country away from you. She's in the UK. Yeah. Chris, what part of the country are you in? What state are you in, if you don't mind me asking?
I am in New England. I am in New Hampshire.
Wow. Okay.
Yes.
Now that's different. That's different.
Yeah, I'm in the far northern east of this country.
I'm adopted, so I met my sister a little over 2 years ago, and she told me we came over from England and was kind of founded Maryland, which is up around you there somewhere.
Oh yeah,
and our
Maryland.
coat of arms is part of the Maryland flag. I'm like, wow.
Wow.
I'm related to 2 presidents and a signer of the Declaration of Independence that was the governor at the time of the Revolutionary War. So,
Wow.
yeah, I'm like, wow. And then she was saying that we were even related to Frank and Jesse James. And so notable people within my family. I'm like, wow. Okay.
Let's see. I've got some Hollywood. I've got some. I got so the Kingpin from Spider-Man, Daredevil.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Okay, so that's named after. That's actually based on a real person. One of my ancestors Jubilee Jim, Diamond Jim, Jim Fisk.
Oh wow! Now wait a
He
minute.
was
I think they did a Western on him that
he
I've
was a
seen.
robber baron in New York, and he was a monster.
Yeah,
He was
did
a
you
very bad
realize
guy.
that they actually had a show on TV back in maybe late 50s, early 60s on him? It was a Western. Oh,
Oh
you know
wow!
what it was? No, I'll tell you what it was. The I think it was the guy that played Bat Masterson. He also played. They did a pilot based on your ancestor.
Mhm.
They did a pilot because I
Mhm.
have it on. I have that pilot episode,
Oh wow!
and that's all they did. They didn't make a show out of it. But your ancestor almost got a Western show back
Oh
in the
wow!
early '60s. Yeah,
Yeah,
but
he
nobody
and
picked the pilot up, which happens a lot.
well, it's funny because if you look at Wilson Fisk's designs, the Kingpin's
Hmm.
designs, they look very similar to Big Jim Fisk, like his I don't know, he's a big fat bald guy basically, and yeah, he and this guy Gould pretty much robbed most of New York through New York City and all that stuff. He ended up getting gunned down by he was fighting over this like Broadway chick that he fell in love with, and apparently she was either going out with this guy or was married to this other guy, and that guy didn't take too kindly to a big fat bald guy putting his moves on his girl, so he put a bullet in him right in the middle of the
Now
street.
what? Now your ancestor wasn't bald, like the Kingpin was. It was the other
Oh
guy he
yeah,
put down, right? Oh, was
no,
he
no, no,
bald?
yeah, yeah, he's a big fat bald guy, looked just like Wilson Fisk. Yeah.
Okay, all right. I got to do this for Shadow. There you go. The difference between a raven and a crow. He's not going to come on the show. I want him to know that I was well prepared. And I even had some Wolverine. Wolverine. See, the mind says one thing, the mouth says another one. I had werewolf representation for you, not Wolverine. What the fuck? Anyway,
Je suis le
it
daru.
happens. Do you find that happens to you in front, or is it just me? Have I been doing huffing too much?
No, no, I think it happens to us all at some point. You're
Yeah.
because you're it's amazing that we're able to talk to it all. If you really think about the neurochemistry involved in it.
I do not know what to mean.
Yeah, yeah. There are people. So there's a certain gene in our body that after I think the age of 5, it stops being produced. So if you don't learn language, not a language, just the concept of language by that age, you will never be able
Wow.
to speak. Yep. It's like I
Now,
can't remember what it's
someone
called.
posted this, and I wanted to show people. We were talking about Hulk Hogan. I
Mhm.
remember this when it was in comics in the '80s, drawn by Gil Kane. Hulk Hogan.
Wow.
It was an ad back in the day. Absolutely. Talking
Hulk
about
Hogan.
rocking and wrestling. Hulk Hogan's rocking and wrestling. Yeah. But now I can tell that is drawn and inked by Gil Kane. He actually did that ad there.
Wow. Yeah,
The
that's
Bernstein
classic.
Bears, the
Wuzzles,
Wuzzles, they
which
didn't
means
last long.
connect.
Neither did the Bernstein Bears. Bernstein instead of Bernstein. They
Yeah.
got the
When did
Mandela
that happen?
effect, I guess. Dungeons and Dragons is listed there. That's actually a pretty good cartoon show. The Young
Oh yeah.
Astronauts, I don't remember that. And
Nope.
the Muppets, something monsters. I can't read
Yeah,
that.
Muppet Babies.
Yeah, Muppet Babies. Yeah, basically. Yeah. It's not easy being green. Charlie
Yeah.
Brown and Snoopy. CBS Story Break. Kids just want to have fun on CBS. So this was the CBS lineup.
Wow.
Yeah.
God, that brings back memories.
Yeah. Now are you more, you're younger than I am, so you probably like He-Man, uh, G.I. Joe, uh, Thundercats, ho, and
Yeah.
Silverhawks and all
Oh
that,
yeah.
right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
In fact, one of my earliest memories was there was a line before Masters Universe called Black Star. And
Yeah.
Black Star was a Native American astronaut that got flown. It was kind of like a proto precursor to Masters of the Universe. And the toys were branded Laser Light, it's Black Star, and like they literally gave kids lighters without lighter fluid to play with. Like that was the play action on the back of these things was a little flint that you flicked.
Happy birthday to actor Ronnie Cox. Now, you may not know him, but one thing that he did that I know we all watched him in was RoboCop. That's him in the foreground there.
With the really long arms.
Cox's birthday. You have 5 seconds to comply.
Yeah. Remember when he got knocked out the window?
Were you big into RoboCop?
Oh, yeah.
RoboCox. RoboCop. Why can't I speak today? I swear I'm not doing drugs. Not lately, anyway.
Have you ever heard of Robert Cop? The Indian knockoff? Robert Cop? He is the furniture of law enforcement?
Today marks also 45 years ago, Peter Sellers passed away. He was 54 years old. Great comedian with the Pink Panther series and everything. Today also High Noon, a great Western. 73 years old today. All the clocks. All the clocks within that thing. Yeah, clocks have a big part to do with High Noon. But if you've never seen that, that's a great Western with Gary Cooper and what's her name? She got out of acting. It doesn't matter. Anyway, we're getting off subject, but yeah, I do like to cover what happens within history, on certain days. It also marks the passing here of George Jefferson, the actor that played George Jefferson. He passed away.
Oh, Sherman Hemsley.
Yeah.
Moving on up.
Moving on up. Beans don't burn on the grill. Yes, they do. I've done it. And today is actually Happy International Fairy Day. Do you have any fairies in your comic?
Unfortunately, I do, but they're not the modernized, romanticized version of fairies. I went to the origin, and they're dark and scary.
Yeah, they really are. A lot of that was made up to kill, to scare kids. Did I say kill kids? Wait a minute. I almost said kill kids. There you go. There's the smog monster attacking Godzilla. So there's your lizard representation for today, Lorenzo.
Yeah.
You got to keep everybody happy. Caroline draws fairies really well. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot to that. I've actually seen postings of like fairy skeletons, like fossils.
Oh yeah.
So did fairies exist? Do they exist still?
People in Iceland believe they still do. The Halder folk, the hidden ones. Yeah.
Look, man, they had a volcano erupt a few years ago. That's their claim to fame. Of course they believe in fairies. They've been huffing all that ash for so long.
Yeah, all the volcanic gases are getting them high.
Exactly, right. Yeah, if you're that close, and I mean, other than that, can you think, besides fishing, can you think of, any thing that Iceland is known for?
Well, they do have the midnight sun where the hot springs flow, or whatever the.
All right, folks, I'm kicking him on that one. I just, come on, man.
Just remembering the immigrant song.
Oh, okay. This is wild. Look at that. This photographer, this photographer was spot on. Just, shutter speed. Just it's lucky if you get a photo like that,
Yeah. Just catching lightning in its own is
just catching lightning, right? A lot of early photographers tried to do it, and it's just there for nanoseconds, I guess.
Yeah. Yep.
71 years old though. Hulk Hogan was born in 1953.
Man. Yeah, that's
71 is way too young. I've got to figure that it's the steroids that burn him out so quick. What do you
oh
think?
yeah. Well, I think it's a combination of the steroids and the hard life. He's like lived like half of his bones are steel because of all like the replacements and surgeries. That'll shorten your life.
Well, I'll tell you another thing that might have shortened Ozzy's life. Maybe not. Kelly Osbourne. Kelly
Oh God.
Osbourne, his daughter, who got engaged at that Black Sabbath just a few days ago. This is her then on the Osbournes,
Hmm.
and this is her now. Not looking much better, really.
Yeah, whatever transformed her must have hurt and cost a lot of money.
Yeah, it looks like that woman in Brazil where they stretched her face. You know.
Bone sculpting, they chiseled that because she had like a pumpkin face, and now she's got this like thin. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Look at that.
that's reconstructive surgery.
You can tell that they spent a lot of money because they had it to spend on her
Hmm.
face. It's but yeah, it's just I thought, wow, she's getting engaged to I think the guy was from Slipknot, right? And
Oh,
probably been courting her for a while. Is
wow.
that right, Carrie? Was he from Slipknot? Because you know the alternative music and stuff like that. I don't. Uh, Tickle Me Fisco? What the? I'll tickle you. I don't know about Tickle Me Fisco, but I'll tickle your fancy. How about that? I'll try and do that
Fair
every
enough.
day. Fair enough. Right. Yeah. Yeah. I thought, wow, she's getting married because I only saw this version of her that looked like she should be on the Munsters or maybe Adam's family, you know?
It looks like that claymation thing that chews gum.
Yeah. It's AI, folks. You just heard Chris say it's AI.
Oh,
Now we're doing a lot of chuckling and laughing about things, but now is in your book, are there comic beats in there in the pacing? Do you try and interject comedy within the dialogue or the situations,
well,
any at all? I know they do
yeah.
that in movies a lot, to break tension. If there's tension, then they go with a little snide comment from somebody
Oh,
or something.
well, there's no winking at the camera. There's no hipster snark.
No breaking the fourth wall.
Yeah. This was written
Yeah.
back in the 90s.
Mhm.
And again, it was based off the actual game sessions of the tabletop role playing game. So what we're seeing are the characters are being played by real people. It wasn't just figments of my imagination thrown on text. It was players given scenarios, and they were forced to play or act them out. And I kind of wanted to, when I was writing this, I didn't want to go the route of George Lucas when he was making those prequels, which was for a man who the only time he's ever talked to a woman is when he had to enter his credit card number in first. He's probably not the best kind of person to write romance. And we saw that in
Right.
Attack of the Clones. And so with that said, the kind of the scenarios that we have play out for our characters here, for example, our protagonist, or one of the protagonists, because it's an ensemble cast, is Queen Aisling. And she's played by one of my friends who was a woman, like as a young girl. And I got more, I guess, honesty out of that character than had I kind of tried to come up with certain ways to react to scenarios. You only write what you
Yeah.
know. If you don't know what it's like to be a woman, it's kind of hard to write about women, unless you're Jack Nicholson. Yeah.
Yesterday was Raymond Chandler's birthday. He was born in 1888. And the reason I bring him up to you, Chris, is he says without magic, because we were talking about magic, and I'm sure there's probably magic within your book, if not just a good story. He said, without magic, there is no art. Without art, there is no idealism. Without idealism, there is no integrity. Without integrity, there is nothing but production.
Yeah. I can see where that comes from, especially with a lot of modern writing, where I think the millennials, and I hate picking on them, and I hate being the get off my lawn kind of old guy.
Why not?
But
Everybody does.
but it just I've noticed this when I was in the industry. Like I worked in video game development for about a decade. I worked on a TV show
Mm-hmm.
/ video game called Defiance. Got to deal with screenwriters. Got to deal with all these people. And the one thing that I watched was writers that are younger, like these hipster millennials. They write
Right.
by inspire. They're inspired by media. Like they're writing based on what others
Oh
have
yeah.
written. Whereas if you look at like Tolkien or Hemingway, like Tolkien came up with the Hobbit, the Silmarillion, all that stuff in the trenches of
Look
World War
at
One.
me, Chris. I'm a fossil, and I'm influenced by movies and TV and things like that.
but like having life experience adds a
Yes,
level of
that
gravitas,
it
verity to
does.
your
Life
stories.
experiences really teaches you something, doesn't it? It forms your
Yeah,
worldview over time.
yeah, and it shows in your writing because
Hmm.
if you're 100% basing it off of something that somebody else has already written, you're
Yeah,
copying a copy. So your Xerox quality
it's
degrades.
gonna appear derivative often, right?
Yeah, yeah, they're gonna
Yeah.
be like, oh, that's just Darth Vader with a pink lightsaber, or whatever. But like when you're writing from your own life or the experiences of people, like when you have your grandfather tell you stories about World War II, or
Hmm.
when you go through some pretty sick stuff in your own life, and you bring that into a story, it's kind of it gets that level of genuineness that I don't think a lot of modern stuff gets, where they're just like, okay, let's formulaically process, like you said, that story, and then just throw in a couple of quips here and there, winks at the camera, and har har har, there we go.
Kind of like what I do every day. Now I want to show you one of the worst cosplays ever. This
Uh-oh.
is a man from America, and his mother is from Canada. Back in 1985 here, so they cosplay Niagara Falls. That's not a very good cosplay, but you would have to be in sync with that costume, wouldn't you? Talk about embarrassing photos, Carrie. You know.
Who goes through the door first?
Yeah, exactly. We ain't going through no door. But yeah, I mean, magic. When you think about the fantasy genre, I think of Frank Frazetta too.
Oh yeah,
Um,
Boris
he kind of,
Vallejo.
I mean, really, D&D came from what Frank Frazetta was doing a decade earlier or
Oh
more.
yeah,
You
yeah.
know, he's one of the few artists that really, not by himself, but had a big hand in forming his own genre.
Mhm.
Which was
Yeah,
sort of, I don't know what you would call it, more wonderment, more fantasy
yeah. The sword and
oriented,
sorcery.
yeah, sword and sorcery. I guess it's been described as.
Yeah,
Uh,
I mean that's Howard. That's Conan. That's
and
Elric.
I think it can be done. When I look at like Jack Kirby and Joe Simon in the late 40s, after heroes kind of were waning after the
Mhm.
war, they created the romance comic, which was very popular for decades,
Mhm.
and it really opened up comics for a lot of young ladies. Along, a lot of women love the
Mhm.
romance and the romance novels and things. So
Yeah.
uh, so it can be done, but it's very hard to really create a new genre. I think maybe with Ninja Turtles and things like that, and that certainly stuff had uh, been done with the anthropomorphic stuff where you take animals and you kind of make human,
Oh yeah.
crossbreed with the characters. Certainly stuff like that had been done with Pogo and other characters. But
Mhm.
now Ninja Turtles really ramped it up and took it to another level. So in a way, that's kind of like a separate genre, that
Mm.
became popular.
Yeah.
Um,
It was like a parody of Daredevil.
yeah, so I think, if you think out of the box, like I can't wait to get Death, Death, Death.
Mhm.
Um, that's really going to be an epic book. I hope that's not the bar for the rest of us, Chris, or we're dead. 'Cause, it's taken years to make it, but I can see why. The artwork is just insane in that thing.
Mm.
He's dropping stuff on that all the time, and I'm like, wow. But if you got one story in you to tell, uh, and you want it to come out all at the same time, then yeah, you spend the time on it. And that's kind of the good thing about crowdfunding, right? You can spend a little bit more time. You're not on a monthly or
Oh yeah.
bi-monthly basis. You can spend the time to make it. Who colors your thing, by the way? Who colors your books?
So the picture that I have on the screen right now, that was colored by Steve Cannon.
Okay.
But the interiors for book 1 and the standard edition book 2 were colored by Alzir Alves, and then I did some coloring in it as well. And
Okay.
then
I was wondering if you did any of the coloring yourself, because like I said,
yeah.
he's a genius, folks. You know, he can do stuff like that. You know, coloring is a booger, even if done traditionally or digitally to learn. You know, you really need light sources and know something about perspective and all kinds of things, don't you? Optical.
Oh yeah.
That's kind of what drew me to Image Comics in the 90s. They were doing blurred imagery and lens flare.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they were bringing some more of those technical things into comics that had never been seen with coloring before, and pulling it
Yeah.
off very nicely, by the way. It wasn't just cheap shot at doing things like that, you know.
Yeah. The
And
airbrush
digital
look.
inking or I mean digital coloring back then wasn't that easy to do back then.
Nope.
It was just in its infancy. So I got to give them props on that. It was really the color. Their color was better, and maybe their paper was better too. That helps than the big two, than Marvel and DC. The color is what really drew me. And you know, it didn't hurt that all the artists had been over at Marvel at one point or DC. You know, kind of gained a following. So I think that's kind of like crowdfunding. They gained their following, then they went out on their own and did
Oh
something.
yeah. Yeah, yeah. It's kind of a like when I took marketing, there's a term called the merchants of cool, and basically it describes how it's really hard for people who don't have a name for themselves or an established brand or a platform or something that's already pre-installed to start off on their own. You know, there's a wall of apathy that gets created, especially in modern, like today, in the last few decades, where it's brand slavery essentially. Like we find that customers would be more interested in clinging to bad properties like Batman or DC with like I'm Not Starfire and stuff like that, or the X-Men where they go on a dinner party for the Hellfire Gala, or you know this modern stuff that's in my opinion is just awful, but like they cling to it because there's the brand. There's, you know, they gain comfort. And I hate saying this, but the one good thing, the one redeemable thing that we lost when we got rid of hipsters was hipsters were the one people who were immune to brand slavery because they were always seeking out new and experimental avant-garde stuff so that they could brag about being into it before it was cool. You know, like now it's like everything has to be okayed by the group. Did the cool kids think it's cool? Okay, I'll watch it then.
Yeah, it's kind of like groupthink, huh?
Yep. Yeah, that's marketing for you. That's what our corporations did.
I read recently branding is all that's left. And if you think about it, branding does, I mean, from billboards to, I mean, changing billboards, you know, and everything. It is kind of branding, isn't it? And that's kind of like Blade Runner, you know, in the future, you know, everything's kind of branding. There's been some dystopian stories told, you know, on everything's branded and big corporations kind of take over everything.
Well, there's that, and creation has become accessible now to the masses. Like we were just talking about how difficult it was to do digital coloring back in the 90s and stuff,
right?
With image, like now it's a lot easier with Photoshop, and there's print houses and all this stuff. So what that does is that creates a lot of glut. That creates a large noise pool, and it has also helped contribute to that consumer apathy because people don't want to wade through stuff to get to what they think is, you know, they don't want to mine in the coal mine for that one dime.
They want easy access and they want quick fulfillment, you know, or quick, you know, they want fast food, and fast food's not anymore. It's not. I probably waited 10 minutes at a Taco Bell / KFC the other day. You know, it's not fast anymore. But now it's the best around. That's the best taco. Everything's fresh. But yeah,
Mm.
for 5 tacos, $12, over $12, that's a lot,
Mm.
So, my time's valuable. I want it fast. If I'm going to eat
Yeah.
fast food, which I don't really, every now and then I'll splurge like that. But I don't trust a lot of the toxic stuff they try and feed us, to tell you the truth. So I cook
Oh
at
my
home
God.
most of the time,
Yeah.
Chris. Uh, that's
I
another
think our
thing. But now you said creating's more accessible now, and I think you're right. But I'm not sure that creativity is. I think we've
oh God,
become
no.
less creative. I think in the 60s when we were decoupaging and crocheting and needlepoint and drawing and painting and doing vans and things like that, motorcycles, you know,
Yeah.
I think that was a creative sort of burst through the hippie movement.
Oh yeah.
Uh, uh, but
Yeah.
I think because of the group think today, creativity has kind of taken a back seat
Yeah.
with a lot of people.
Well, there's this
They don't use their
Simpsons.
imagination like
No,
we
well,
used
no.
to. Hey,
Our,
Ryan.
our our schools have hammered that out of kids, but like, there's an
Yeah.
episode of The Simpsons. It's one of the few Lisa Simpsons episodes that's tolerable.
Hmm.
But it's this one about where Lisa makes her own alternative to Barbie. Essentially, she calls it the Lisa Lionheart doll,
Oh
and
yeah.
it's a superior doll to the established Malibu Stacy doll, which is the Simpsons universe for Barbie. And she's trying to sell this doll. She gets it all out there, superior in every way, crafted by the original designer of the Malibu Stacy. All this stuff, great doll. And the moment the store opens, everybody flocks over to the new Malibu Stacy doll. It's the same doll, but it has a new hat, and they ignore
Mm,
Lisa Lionheart, even though it's a superior product, because it's that brand slavery, and the group has to go for the brand.
yeah.
And it's like,
I mean,
wow.
branding is so important, and I mean, that statement really stuck with me when I read it the other day. Branding is all that's left. And I
Mm-hmm.
guess we have had certain things sort of pruned out of our, and let's face it, we know in living in the Western hemisphere like we do,
Mm-hmm.
we are highly commercialized.
Oh yeah.
This, and especially entertainment wise now,
Mm-hmm.
just in collecting Pez, there are more Pez dispensers out there now than there ever were. They've done the big box sets of Star Trek, Star Wars, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. They did Kiss. They did. They're doing realistic Pez now. Occasionally like the Kiss Man, and the very first ones they did was Orange County Choppers off TV.
oh,
Those
nice.
guys. They did Mozart and his wife, which is a strange one. I don't think they were ever released in America. Why you would do Mozart and his unknown wife, I don't know. But they did all the presidents up to Obama. I think they should do a Trump one actually,
yeah.
because I mean
Orange Fez.
he's like Grover Cleveland. You know, he's got unconsecutive runs. As president. So I think
oh yeah, we get two of
that's
them.
pretty. Because I thought growing up, will that ever be repeated? Probably not. And damn if it wasn't.
yeah.
You know, we're living in historic times, whether you like it or not. I think,
Yeah.
depending on who wins out, Chris, I think they're going to look back at the first part of the 20th century and maybe the latter part of the did I say 20th century?
21st.
21st century.
Yeah.
Let me see. I do remember. I remember the 20th century. Yeah.
Stay a while and listen.
Here, carry water for me, Grandpa. Yeah, I'm past my expiration date. So sue me. uh, uh, but I think they're going to look back at this time, depending on who writes the history books, and going, "What were they thinking?"
yeah.
Joe Biden as president? What the hell?
Yeah.
It's just that we went through so much unnecessary crap at the
Mm.
beginning of the century, starting with Bush. It's just, you know, I don't
I
know.
know
We haven't had a great start to a new millennium.
it's been all downhill since September 11th.
Yeah, and now you can't get some of these young people to work. Now I don't want to beat up on them either, but the work ethic has changed. And then once, and I think now this has been years ago on the stat, but when the baby boomers retire, we're going to be in a hurt. We will have to have some automated help,
Oh yeah,
not
and
animated
well,
help,
you know,
automated.
here like we get, you know, it's nice to like dump on the younger generations and stuff,
It
but like
is. Yeah.
the boomers completely destroyed, like us Gen Xers, we got screwed, and every generation after us got screwed a little more. And the Zoomers, the ones that are now in the workplace, those guys like the reason why they don't have any work ethic is because there's no ROI. It's a cost benefit analysis to go work. And if you're busting your ass at a minimum wage paying job and you can't even pay any bills,
Right.
like what's the point? You know, and then they look over at like these imported bioweapons that are getting paid, you know, free this and that from taxes. And it's like it just builds resentment, you know? It's like, well, why should I work when this guy just, you know, jumps the line and gets it for free?
Yeah, I get that. I get that, and I think they've swallowed some peel, some
Mm.
political peel down the road too on
Oh
that.
God, yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
we actually tried socialism in this country before capitalism,
Mhm.
but when you had inevitably you have that certain part of the population that says I'm going to get to eat from the storehouse of food whether I work or not. You're going to have those ne'er do wells that do nothing,
Oh yeah.
those
Yeah. Well, yeah.
lazy bugs. But
If you don't
the,
incentivize them,
when they incentivized them working with capitalism, the capitalism model, then it took off because you get to keep a larger portion of the share
yep.
in the storehouse that everybody eats from.
Yeah.
Then there was incentive to go to work. Somehow we've lost that because of the cost of living and
Yeah.
other things. Yeah.
Well, like inflation is just theft to the middle class. I mean, it's
Yeah,
they're
it's an undeclared tax, really.
yeah, and it's I really honestly feel bad for the people that are coming in after me, and it's like I didn't do this, I got screwed too, but you're getting screwed worse.
Chris, did you know that not all turtles were born in the wild? Some are bred in captivity. Now, that's a grandfather joke if I've ever heard one. But I can tell it
Nice.
because I am a grandfather. So a good way to make you forget. There you go. There's some
Hey
back
now,
page for you.
giggity
Scandal
giggity
dress
go.
on the beach.
Yes.
Yeah. You know, I, I've got to wonder about, what do you think about manga? You're younger than I am. What do you think about manga and its effect on comics? And really, it's Scholastic that has all lion's share of the money, that and the manga. But Scholastic, I grew up with Scholastic books, ordering Scholastic books and stuff, and I know stuff like Captain Underpants and things like that were wildly, and Marvel even did some through Scholastic, did
Hmm.
some Spider-Man books and things. So, and other
Mm.
characters. So they're not totally ignored through Scholastic. But
Yeah.
what do you think about manga and its effect on?
Well, I have a manga edition on this campaign. So if you're interested in grabbing books 1 and 2 in a black and white manga format, it's 180 pages, but you got to read it right to left.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the reason why manga is eating the West's lunch is the same way that in World War II the Allied forces had the German had the Sherman tanks
Uh,
completely destroy the superior German Tiger tanks
the
and the
yeah,
Panzers.
and the
And the
Panzers.
reason, yeah, the reason for that is because despite the Tiger, the Panzer, and all these other German engineered vehicles being severely outclassing the little tin can coffin Shermans, was that they were a pain to create. They took a long time to roll off the assembly line,
It's
and
that
they
it's
were
that
a pain to
German
repair.
craftsmanship.
Yeah, superior, but it took way too long and it cost a lot of resources. But
to fix,
meanwhile,
and then they weren't as maneuverable either, were they? The
no,
smaller
they
guns?
outclassed the Shermans. Yeah, the Shermans were crap. Like what made the Shermans win though was attrition. They could send out more Shermans for every one Panzer or Tiger tank or whatever they took out. There was like 100 Shermans that could fill the battlefield, and that level of attrition is very similar to what we're seeing with manga now. For $5, okay, maybe not now because inflation has jacked things up, but
Right.
initially you could go on Amazon for $5, get like 500 pages of a book and get a huge story arc, okay? And you're
Right.
getting massive amounts of content. It's in black and white. It's not as good as the slow burn Western comics that are in color and all this stuff, but it's a very thick book. It's got a lot of story in there for a very low price, and you can buy a bunch of them and get a full story, like a whole saga, 10 books out of the deal that it would cost you to get like one trade paperback or one graphic novel from the West.
I
And
talked with Roland about that the other day.
mhm,
He teaches sequential artwork and comic in college in Florida there. And
mhm.
he said manga's pacing is way different than
Oh yeah.
the westernized because it's this long. And I said, do
Yep.
you think the Japanese have more patience than Americans do? Because we want it now. We want fast food. We want fast, 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 right? And
Mhm.
I think when people try and look at old movies and things, they go, man, the pacing's just so slow. We want
Oh
slam
well,
bang today, don't we?
I blame propaganda like TikTok for that. TikTok,
Mm.
which is 30-second increments of dopamine hits, has trained a lot of our generations to not have attention spans anymore. Gone fishing.
Yeah,
But
Graham Nolan, gone fishing. He's not at Comic Con, San Diego Con. A lot of people are right now.
oh yeah.
Good for him. That's
Mm.
probably an old photo. He probably really didn't catch that. But
Photoshop.
maybe it's not a shark, right? Uh, but uh,
Yeah.
are you do with this being your second book? Are you going to
Mhm.
do conventions
Oh,
coming up?
I've gone to the Granite State Comic Con
Hey,
last
good stuff.
year. Hey, and yeah, I don't know. Like, I got a lot of health problems, so it's difficult for me to move around.
Yeah,
If I go, I'll probably have to hire a booth babe to just act as a proxy to do it for me. Um,
yeah.
it's just I did not see the ROI in it. Like, I set up a pretty ballsy table. I did the whole shebang, and like I was saying earlier about the brand slavery, the only people that my table seemed to attract, I did get some business. So I am grateful that I got some business and there were some cool people that I got to
Mm.
meet and greet, and that was awesome. But the majority of the people that came to my table were fellow creators that were more interested in the technology that I was using than the actual product. Because I had a
Wow,
touchscreen kiosk,
wow.
I had the whole thing.
Happy
Ooh.
birthday to Linda Carter. She's 74 today.
Wonder Woman.
Wonder Woman. I mean, I always wanted that superpower to be able to change my clothes and just by turning around.
Yeah, make the morning commute a lot easier.
Wouldn't it though? Yeah. It depends on what you get dressed in. If it's Star Spangled Bikini, probably not going to work for you.
Yeah, that wouldn't be a hit in the boardroom. Yeah.
Yeah. I actually have a cousin that they could be sisters. She looks so much like her. So at the
Linda
last
Carter. Wow.
yeah, I've got a cousin that looks like Linda Carter. I had an uncle at that same funeral.
Mhm.
He's sadly passed away now too, but
Oh.
he in his younger days, he looked a little bit like Clint Eastwood.
Oh wow.
So and an ex-Navy guy. So if you did something wrong, he'd give you that ooh, wow, 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 stare. Yeah.
Go ahead, punk.
Go ahead. Make my day. Name's Bond, James Bond, and you are Barry Strawberry. Hello, Mr. Good Stuff. We had the Good Stuffs on yesterday. Hope you were able to catch that. We had a lot of fun A lot of great
Hey,
times with the good stuff. You know, they're always fun to have on and talk to. And they
hell
got
yeah.
moved into their new house. I hate moving, Chris. I hate
Yeah.
it. When I moved into
Yeah.
this house, I probably said, never again, you know,
I hear
because I got
that.
too much stuff,
Yeah.
you know. And my
Yeah.
mother's 90. She couldn't help me pack like she did last time. Or she will
Oh,
be, I should say she's 89. She will be 90 in August coming up, August 15th. So,
yeah. Definitely not a good packing buddy.
no,
You got
no,
the
but
couch easy.
she and Elsie saved my bacon, though, you know, on
Ah,
this last move into this house over a decade ago, you know, but it's
yeah.
been a decade, and that last decade getting to 90 has been rough on her, you know, so uh,
Yeah.
she can't do, you know, package up all this stuff. And I've got more of it now. Are you kidding? She'd probably burn the old place down and go get a tent, you know?
Man, yeah, I've had to move around a lot. When I was in the gaming industry, a lot of my employment was measured in months. You know, I've lived in Japan, Australia, various parts of California. Yeah, moving sucks.
Yeah, I'm not into moving at all. I said, you know, if I have one more move in me, it would probably be move out most of my collectibles into like a studio type
Mhm.
thing, and then my house could be my house with some of my most dear collectibles or things, you know, maybe uh toys when I was a kid, you know, which there's not a lot that survived, but there was a few things, you know,
Ah,
through the years. I still have
yeah.
my Starship Enterprise with all
Oh
the
wow.
figures, you know, and my mother put everyone in a Ziploc, you know, all that stuff. And, you know, the reason it didn't get lost was, you know, the Star Trek case that, you know, you could put it all in there, you know,
Nice.
and so keep up with it. You know, I've even got a uh, Planet of the Apes figure in there
Oh wow.
from, and Mago did those. I've got the
Yeah, the
female
cloth
figure
ones.
too.
Oh, you
I've got the
got
female
Zira.
figure, whatever her name was,
Oh, the
Ursula.
female human, or yeah.
No, the chimpanzee.
Oh yeah, Doctor
That,
Zira.
that Dr. Zira. Yeah, was that the female's name?
Yeah, it was Zira, and then Cornelius and Doctor Zaius. Doctor Zaius. Doctor
Okay.
Zaius.
Well, now,
Yeah.
were some of your first comics image characters like shown here?
My first comics. So I got introduced into comics a little differently than a lot of Americans.
Mhm.
Uh, I in my French class in fifth grade, Madame Gervais would have a spinner rack full of bandes des années en français, and we were free to read them whenever we were done our work. And I would grab like Le Schtroumpfs, which was the Smurfs. I would grab Tintin. I would grab
Oh wow.
Asterix and Obelix. And it led me to Metehelon, which is the French version of Heavy Metal Magazine. And we had this mom and pop comic shop in Salem, New Hampshire, that did not enforce the little beaded quartered off section that you get in the video stores. You know, the ones where it's like, don't go in here, there be boobies. Well, I walked
Uh-huh.
in and I had the Hitchcock camera moment. I was like, this is awesome. So I grabbed all of the Quadrant, the Metahelon or the Heavy Metal, Druna, ElfQuest, Den, all of that stuff. Anything by Fassner and Larson, like I was instantly in love with. All of that stuff.
Mhm.
So was it Arroyo? So many of like the greats that weren't like the Capes and
Now,
Tights. So
did you get into Morbius?
yeah,
Another
yeah, Mobius
French
was
artist?
yeah.
Yeah,
That's say long,
Mobius.
yeah,
Don't
yeah. He had
call
some
him the
cool stuff.
vampire, Morbius. What the hell, Mobius?
It's Morbin
There we go.
time.
Yeah, right. I love his Western stuff. I'm gonna have to get his Blueberry series and stuff. You know,
Yeah.
we uh and Glenn Fleming and Russ Leach and uh Randy Zimmerman kind of went through those graphic
Hmm.
novels so that came out during the 80s. And really all I saw of his stuff was the Galactus and Silver Surfer thing that he did for
Very
uh
trippy.
yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Some say that crowdfunding is a scam for some people, and some people do treat it like that. This is a picture of when you order a book called How to Scam People, and it still hasn't arrived after 3 months.
it's working.
Yeah. How do we instill in with our core group? Because you have to build that core group, don't you, Chris? How do we instill confidence? Just delivering?
Honestly, yeah, like it really, like, we've been burned pretty bad, dude. We've had some of these big
Mhm.
recently there's been these big like campaigns that just basically went like, hi, I'm a member of the 5 figure club. I made 30 grand. It wasn't enough. Screw you guys. I'm going home. And he took all of
Well,
our money.
do you remember the highest funded on Indiegogo and when we were all kind of focused on Cyberfrog a few years back?
Mhm.
And they had a like in second place, second or third place was Icarus, and it made over 600 something $1,000, and I'm told it didn't deliver.
Yeah, well,
That
that
that's
just
crazy.
they poison, like, that poisons the well. I can tell you as a backer,
Hmm.
like, so I have a one back policy where I'll back a book, I'll take a chance, and I will not back
Hmm.
again from that backer, from that creator, until I get the first thing I backed and I liked it. If I don't like it, I'm not backing. So
Yeah.
people that I've repeat backed to, that's how you know I like them and I trust them. Like, for example, Genuine Comics, he always delivers, guaranteed. I'm gonna
Yeah.
keep backing from Dave Brink. Same thing with Pete Sametti. Everything that I've gotten from Alterna Comics, I backed it. I never had anything late. I've never had anything not show up. Yeah, here we go. Yeah,
Absolutely.
Blood Realm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Geronimo stuff. Yeah,
Yeah.
and
Blood Ram.
yeah, that's freaking awesome, man. I got more
And
growing
and,
up on
and
my
you
wall.
know, even though I think Pete's, I mean, I always wanted to see more work out of him, artistic,
Mhm,
because he was like the chair. It was made into a movie, and I drew that. Okay, I want to see more out of you. But then when he had the staple of creators over there at
mhm,
Alternates, you got like some commission heads and different things like that. But that was about it. I think now he's ramped it up with King Cryptid. This
mhm,
last campaign of his where he does the in-house printing, very
mhm.
successful. So I don't think he's got a work ethic. He really has been in the biz long enough. Um, he's going to make Alterna a success. You can tell, no matter who's in his staple. And then I just saw a thing where he needs a couple more short stories for it came out on a Wednesday.
Mhm.
So, for submissions, so uh, now maybe if you got a short story that's kind of monster horror something, submit it. You might get it published.
Hell
You
yeah.
might get a gig. So I think he's come out of this. I wouldn't say unscathed. When he had
Mhm.
creators like Keith Gleason and Josh Howard and others leave him for whatever reasons. They had their own individual reasons, but I think he's done everything he can to come out of it and come out of it on top. So I've got to give him props for that.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah,
And I
and
think it's very smart with him going with in-house printing,
oh,
which
definitely.
he's been running off samples. So basically, that campaign, which I backed that, I actually sent him over $17,000 on his campaign with that. I was one of the last backers again, uh,
Wow.
but I was glad to be able to do it on the last day, and he even had got some backers after me. Uh,
Nice.
but so we'll be doing some pulp printing on pulp paper because I think I can take that off my short list. I'm thinking about doing my Western character, the origin of Midnight, and
Mhm.
making it landscape, making a sideways issue with a sideways cover. That's what I'm
Oh,
thinking.
wow. Wow. So it flips up like a calendar?
Yeah.
Oh,
Because I
awesome.
mean, if you go out west, you've got like grand vistas, and
Mhm.
things like that. I've got these things of like stagecoaches with the dust behind it, and that's probably
Dude,
best done in a landscape format. So that's what I'm thinking. Now I may
nobody
change my
else is
mind.
doing that.
I only had a $300 voucher, and I thought, well, okay, but he's going to be doing alternative books after that. Well, apparently not. You can actually can get him to print you some newsprint. Now it'll still
Yeah.
only be a top run of 200 books, but 200 books is a lot. How many
Yeah,
did
it
you
is.
sell on this campaign so far?
I would say under 200.
Okay. 200's I mean, it's nothing, really.
Yeah.
20,000 is really nothing.
Yeah.
You know, that's considered a short run. I can remember the day when 60,000 was canceled for a lot of titles.
Yeah.
You know, and but so, you know, let's say Cyberfrog does 20,000, that's still a short run.
Yeah.
It's more than 200, it's more than 20, but it's still considered a short run when you consider that there's 8 billion. Now, not everybody's reading comics in the world, but there's over 8 billion people in the world now, unless Bill Gates gets his way.
Touche.
Apex says back his book, Fembat. Absolutely.
Sweet.
I'm one of the few, I'm probably the only person besides him who has read Fembat. I did get an early copy for my birthday and Christmas, and I have read it, and I have backed it. And he's getting closer to that Dan Lawless trading card, folks, as a stretch go. And there is a Dan Lawless cover. Don't know how he scored that, but he did. Absolutely. Check out Chris's book. Thank you for dropping that, Apex.
Yeah, thanks, man.
And people think I'm weird for giving everybody a wrench. That's it. You know, that's reliable, you know.
Yeah.
Exactly, Chris. I agree completely. And if these people who say the backers didn't do enough for them pisses me off to no end.
Hell, man. Exactly. Like I got burned from this twofold. One, I backed the book, and two, I'm a creator. I got burned for backing the book because I know that the money that I spent I'll never see, and I'll never see the product, and that pisses me off. And then on top of that, as a small creator, okay, I'm not part of the 5-figure club. You know, I'm not part of the guys that can break the 10K mark. You know, well, how do you think that fares from consumer confidence when they're like, well, if the big guys who get all the hype and everything, if they can't deliver, what the hell's the chances that the little guys are going to do it? So I'm fairly certain that hurt every one of us.
Everybody wants the view, but nobody wants the climb. You know, you got to put in the work. And even if you do put in the work, stuff like that helps. Like Roland Mann was talking about with Silverline Comics, you know, he's delivered over 30 campaigns on time every time.
Wow.
And that's a lot, Chris. That's a lot. I can only aspire to that. But it does hurt other smaller creators and crowdfunding in general, doesn't it? It really puts people off. And I know there's a risk factor for the buyer, you know.
Well, that's why I'm taking all next week off to get all these books out, you know.
Yeah.
that's spending my summer vacation.
Part of it, isn't it?
Yeah. That's you got to deliver, man.
You're actually using vacation time for that, right? To get that done.
Yep. Yeah. Every day. Yep. And like I said, all the digital editions have already been fulfilled. So now I'm just going through and assembling things. Like we were joking about the glue drying earlier, because I'm basically a lot of the larger perks need to be assembled. So I'm assembling these things. There's some of the books, like, you know, there's a free option to have the book signed. Well, that ink has to dry before you put it in the bagging and boarding. Otherwise, you're going to get a
Are you using a metallic ink for that?
I'm using a gold pen metallic one, and then also a white one. So when I run out of the gold, I'll go white.
Yeah, I mean, it really takes some room, doesn't it? I mean, and these are considered more smaller campaigns, but your campaign did very well. $7,899, almost 8,000 folks. 114 backers, so definitely 114 books sold, right? At least.
Under
2,000, like you said.
Well, yeah, I mean, a lot of it. So there was a lot of perks in there too, beyond just the books. And I know that, like, it was weird because, like, this campaign actually, before we got to 114, I was looking at it and I was like, I got fewer backers, but I see a lot of returning backers that have kind of upsold. They've up, like,
Yeah.
in the first campaign they bought like a PDF or whatever, and this one they're buying like the ultimate bundle edition and stuff and getting like all the cool tchotchkes.
Yeah. So
So
you
yeah.
made some fans there.
Yeah, I'm hoping so. I mean, I hope
Yeah.
they can stick around for the full story, because
Now, what
wow,
is
yeah.
the full story? Is this 15 issues? Is this 5 issues? Is this 3? What is it?
So the War of the Trees is a planned 10-book series.
Oh,
Um,
okay. Okay.
yeah, and they're going to be around 100 pages, maybe a little more each. The
Mhm.
first book was 54 pages, and that was just to test the water to see if there was any kind of market viability. There was. So I went into the second one. We got the 120 pages, and again on this campaign, there's a free 40-page preview of book 3 that comes with your perks, so you get a good taste of what's coming in book 3 as well.
Well, I want to give people a better taste, Chris.
Mhm.
So if you'll forgive me for this,
Mhm.
I can get it to come up. There we go. We're gonna chop up the video, Chris's video here. In the wheel burning. There we go. Chris Fisk Media. Very cool.
Knowledge is like a seed. When sown in fertile minds, it opens doors to new possibilities. Truth, once buried by the ages, is again revealed. The unimaginable becomes demystified. New wonders are discovered that transcend the limitations of previous understanding. However, some doors should never be opened. Our tale continues with the divergent paths of our heroes. As a naive king toils with ancient powers beyond his control, a grieving queen makes a fateful decision that forever changes their world. Infinitale Chronicles, the War of the Trees.
Now you really used AI for that, didn't you?
No, that's not AI.
Oh, you didn't?
Nope.
Okay. Okay. Because I was
Yeah.
wondering about I've seen we had Rick Piper on from Cross Comics, and he made his Canadian Shield
Mhm,
through AI to animate
mhm.
his figure. And I was like, wow, this is gonna be a game changer. I know animators are gonna, but now I thought yours was too, because the elf ears kind of bend with the movement.
Yeah, that's the cap cut filter. There's a parallax effect filter. Like, I know Von Klaus uses it a lot
Monster.
in his shows.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and when I was using it, I didn't get the outlines on the ears right, and it's basically it's like the wind blowing him away essentially.
Okay,
So
so you're again a tech genius where you can do your own your now who narrated that for you? That was cool to have an English speaking, and I don't
yeah,
mean just English, but actually English sounding.
yeah. Let's just say that I have friends in the industry from when I was
Okay.
working in video games,
Voice work,
and
right. Hmm.
yeah, yeah, and I'm not sure if he's still got a job. I'm fairly certain he does, because he's an actor too.
Okay.
But yeah, I don't know if he wants me to.
A lot. Well, you don't have to name him, dox him. You a lot of actors do a lot of voice work,
Yeah, yeah.
sure, definitely. In fact, that takes on a career as they're aging out, if that's ever
Mm.
possible. And I think it does happen with some actors, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But they do a lot of voice work because they have the voice for it. You know, a lot of audio books and things like that. That's
Yeah.
something that I would like to see with yours is maybe an audio book. You know,
Oh yeah.
of course, you probably have the technology and the friends, like you said, the connections to do something like that. I think yours
Yeah.
would translate very well over into audio.
Yeah. It would definitely take some money and some
Yeah,
time to do, but yeah.
right. Send him all your money.
Yeah, make a like a motion comic, kind of like the trailer, but only it's it's done in
I do think within how do you view how they treated our properties recently? This wokeism and all that, entertainment's taken a hit
oh
through
yeah.
the pandemic and all that. I mean, I say if we want the entertainment we want to see, we're going to have to become the entertainment that we, and through crowdfunding, we can kind of do that now. We have a
Yeah.
distribution, and sell to your core audience directly. I think that's a pretty cool model.
Yeah, yeah, that's partial. That's a good reason why Infinitale Chronicles even exists. Is
Hmm.
I spent about a decade in the video game industry chasing my dream career, and it kind of blew up in my face and left me homeless. And
Wow.
jumping careers to a more stable one. I'm now in cybersecurity, so I'm completely out of the whole creative industry, and I have no desire to ever go back to that. But it did
Right.
leave me a little depressed when it was like, okay, my dream career is behind me. And now all of my hobbies are telling me they don't want me as a customer anymore. Like I'd mentioned, like Marvel with their stupid lifestyle branding crap, where it's now for girls and like rainbow stuff that I have no interest in. Or
Right.
you've got all these other like Dungeons and Dragons, like orcs are now just gray Mexicans for some reason. And I was like, okay, I got to make my own. Wow, that cat looks like he's very comfortable.
Yeah. The owner said, "This is Margaret Scratcher, my slutty cat. My slutty cat. I came into my office and found her like this. I don't even know where to begin and what kind of talk we need to have."
You need like the saxophone music, little jazz, How
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
doing?
Pour me a drink. Yeah. Have you got a light?
Oh
That's
man.
why I don't trust cats. I'm sorry. I'm a dog guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nothing
Yeah,
against
cats
cats,
are
but yeah.
they're a little fickle.
Yeah, I work at nights and I see a lot of pets, not a lot of dogs running around. I do see a few of them because you do have people that will come and collect dogs, they're running loose. But now cats, they can go anywhere they want. They don't even have to
Yeah.
be licensed. So it seems unfair to me, really, you know.
Yeah.
But now a cat's not going to take you down like a Rottweiler. I'll give you
Oh
that.
God, no. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That'll be the day a house cat takes me down.
What's been the most rewarding thing from book 1 to book 2 for you as a creator on this? I mean, not just kicking the ball down the road and getting more story out, but what's been more rewarding, you think? The most rewarding thing throughout this for you?
I think it's been the people who've done like the unboxings, the people who've
Hmm.
reviewed it. Like I had this guy Damien DuPont who did this awesome like overview, like completely spoiler, of book 1, and it was hilarious. But it was like, wow, he actually read it. Like, because as a creator, it feels like I'm just kind of shouting into a void, and it's a little
Yeah.
little saddening when you're like, you fulfill all these books, you do all this stuff, and then nobody talks about it and nobody cares, and you're just like, wow, that was worth it. So when you get those little bright spots of people that are like, hey, I read the book and this is my interpretation of it, it totally makes my day. Like,
Yeah, I like that too. I told Eric and Boyd he was my total mystery. Uh, they had to guess what TM stood for the character, my character that I'm just, and it's kind of a placeholder name, and it
mhm.
was total mystery because he is kind of a total mystery character, and everybody was trying to Mrs. Good Stuff said tragic meatloaf. They had fun with it for about 3 weeks. And he gets everything on the, on the Ash Can campaign and everything that'll be produced on this campaign. The only thing that he won't get is unique art, because everybody gets unique art with Devil Flyer. You get a head sketch, and we do have goals to have more original artwork done by me. I've been doing pizza rounds of late, Chris. I don't know if you knew that, but I've been doing pizza round art, taking my cardboard that you get off the back of your pizza. I had to move my drink box collection. Just this is tomorrow's show, folks. But show my drink box and not try and hit my audio cord, and kick myself. Or yeah. But yeah, I've been doing pizza rounds. And this will be in the art book that we've added to the campaign.
Sweet.
So, in fact, this is a new character here. That's a fairly new character, and this is the only time I've drawn that character thus far. Has been on this pizza round. There we go.
Oh, nice.
I haven't shown these in a while, so I'll go through them real quickly as we talk.
Oh, sweet.
Because you and I don't, these are going to be a series called Bog Pogs. Remember Pog from the 90s?
Yep.
So I've done more than one Bog, an iteration of Bog, but I've been drawing this character for 10 years.
Oh, wow.
And Carrie likes this one. She says that's his sex face. Works for me. I've got a few that I haven't completed. I've got to complete this one. This has been the first acrylic painting I've done in a while.
Oh, wow.
Years, actually. But that one I had to complete. Most of them are complete, though. There we go. Got a little abstract with that one.
Nice.
A little Geo. A little Bog. And this constitutes like a couple months worth of work, working in full color, traditionally.
Look at that.
Quite a variety, helping me establish some of these characters.
Nice.
Some of the villains here and heroes. There's the Devil Flyer.
Oh,
there
cool.
You go. That's the one I like the least, to tell you the truth. Metal surfaces are hard to do, my friend. This one's not finished. Still working on it. That's another Geo. He kind of looks like a jumping spider to me.
Yeah.
There we go. Somebody suggested Snow Blast as a name for this villain. Still working on that one. Still working on this Cortex, which is a living brain.
Oh, wow.
With a little Kirby crackle there. And here's some more Kirby crackle. There's Zeitgeist.
Ooh. The Time Ghost, yeah.
Another. Oh, do you speak German?
Mein Deutsch ist schlecht. Yeah, a little.
Still working on this one. A little?
Yeah.
Okay. There we go. Another Geo. I like Geo. He's Kirby inspired. You know that little zigzag ink on the legs or arms of Kirby? This was the inspiration for this rock-like character, Geo.
Very cool. They're good.
Just have that zigzag through his eyes like that. This was the first one I did. This was the first Bog Pog that I did. And then if you back the big bundle, you get this one for free. And the next one after that backs will get the Geo Slammer that we're making.
Yeah.
And some of these were just sketches, one-time sketches I did. This character this is only the second time I drew him. Thunder Rock.
Oh,
I
nice. He's got welder
at the time. Here's Zeitgeist again. Different look for him.
Cool.
Early one. And then Bog. I think this is one of my favorite Bogs that came out.
Yeah. Takes up the
like
whole...
my Man Thing or Swamp Thing. Yeah, takes up
the
whole Geo's kind of hard to do. I think I spent about 7 hours on this one, folks. That was, believe it or not, layering color and stuff.
Oh, cool.
So, yeah, I've been working a little bit, at least, traditional does take some time. And it's good to go on drawing shows, too. and work. This is a character that I had previously created, but put him in a larger group of characters called the Twisted Man.
Mhm.
He came out kind of good. So but buttons are coming, folks.
Yeah, those are big pogs. Mega pog.
Well, and I am going to do a and they are, original thin crust. I'm going to have to do a Geo Slammer mat too,
Oh yeah,
to play pogs on, because they actually Marvel came out with, through the official Bog Federation thing
Mhm.
that they had. They actually, and I have two of them. I found those back in the day, and they're still both sealed up. I may open them up and see what kind of mat they did. It may be something like my mat here that I have that's kind of foam that's, that I use for
the
my
kind of
mouse
mouse.
pad.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah,
That'd be
I
fun
got some. Yeah, well, I
mean,
recently got some pogs from Sam Vera's book, The Alien. There's an alien in my toilet.
oh yeah,
Have you heard of that one?
I've
Catch the
heard of that
Craze.
one. Yeah,
Yeah. He his book 7, No Boo for You, came with these cool I don't want to pop them out yet, but it's like a whole pog sheet, and it's like, okay, I got 6 pogs,
right.
but I don't want to poke them out yet. So I don't know. I'm a
Tom
freak for
Tuttle says
packaging.
happy birthday, Numbskull. So Numbskull's birthday today, and this was his
Oh.
birthday cake. Check that out.
Hulk smash!
Oh, smash! Yeah, he would probably take that cake and eat it too.
Yeah, that looks awesome.
If he's only 3 years old, though, I'm kind of sus on that. 3 candle there.
Yeah, it's a big cake for a 3-year-old.
Shadowhack had an earlier comment. They say people always die in threes. Yeah, there seems like that happens. So he was saying, I wonder who else is going to die, which other legend's going to pass away, because there's been Ozzy and Hulk now. Who else is going to pass away?
Well, Theo Huxtable died.
Theo
Malcolm
Huxtable.
Jamal Warner. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
Malcolm Jamal. That might be the third. Yeah.
Now, wasn't he young? He was fairly young, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was only like 54 or 55 or something, and he got
what
caught
was
in a
his
riptide.
problem?
He was trying to swim,
Oh,
and he got caught in a riptide. Yeah, it wasn't a natural
I had
death.
not heard about that. Okay.
Yeah, that poor guy.
Okay, so there's your 3, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I mean. If it's an accident, that's one thing. But there's a lot of celebrities that have died young, right?
Oh yeah.
Through drug use and a few accidents too. Plane crashes and car crashes and things like that too. You can kind of understand that. Joe Ball, I mentioned. He says earlier with this Death comic, one of these rare covers where I did everything: lines, color, letters. I really enjoy doing these 80s style covers, he says. And then you did a cover for Testament, so check that out.
Oh,
you did everything on that.
Wow, nice.
So he's kind of an artist that does everything traditionally. I would like to actually get a pad and start working digitally, though.
Oh yeah. Unfortunately for me, I used to be an artist, but I ended up getting something called peripheral neuropathy in my hands, so I lost the ability to do art. But
did you?
I initially wanted to do everything myself, but yeah, it kind of sucks. I got to use a vertical mouse now, but I'm able to do what I can. But yeah, I think those art days are over.
Yeah, well, I know I don't know what it is exactly. Maybe just age, maybe I think it's a little bit more than just arthritis. But Jim Starlin does he still does traditional artwork, but he's had to cut back a lot.
Oh yeah,
and he's doing more writing now. That's the great thing. Through this process of making a comic book or two, Chris, that I learned is the words come faster than visual. So I'm going to do like a pulp, the old pulps that came out pre-comic books, like Doc Savage, the Shadow, Phantoms, the Spider, characters like that. And just put a comic book sequential section in there, much like DC Comics did back in the day. I don't know if you ever saw that, but Like New Teen Titans had a preview, Blue Devil
Oh,
had a
nice.
preview, Arak the uh,
Son of
uh,
Thunder.
Son of Thunder. Thank you for that.
Oh
Had a
yeah.
preview. A lot of those Captain Carrot and his amazing zoo crew had a. They were in New Teen Titans. They would put this little with no extra cost to you. The price didn't go up. They would put in like a little preview, first appearance, which are neat today because those are really first appearances. So New
Yeah.
Teen Titans #1 is not their first appearance.
Nice.
Because they had a 16 preview in DC Comics Presents number 26.
Very
And
cool.
I used to have like 8 copies of that. No longer. I don't even think I own a copy of it right now. I think I do. I do have a Teen Titans #1. A number. I think I have a lower grade, like good, of like #2 because that's the first appearance of Deathstroke,
Mhm.
and that one's kind of costly.
Whoa.
What is your comic book collection? You said you kind of arrived at comic book collecting from a different venue, and like there are different stories out there. Um, and I do have some foreign comics as well, which I think are pretty cool to collect. And generally, you can pick them up unless it's a key issue pretty cheaply. You know, I can't read it, but I can certainly appreciate the artwork and then how it's put together and the ads and things like that.
Yeah, well, over in Europe, I mean, Bandas des Années is like, it's huge. It's weird how like Japan and Asia have manga and manhwa, and Europe has the Bandas des Années, and it's huge over there. Like it's a serious form of media. Like I think America's kind of missing out on it. Maybe not Latin America.
I mean,
Latin America,
and that's sad because they call comic books a unique American art form, kind of like jazz or baseball. You know, things that America's contributed to the world. And I hate to see sort of manga feel that bill where I think Western creators could do it, could do what they're doing. I mean, it's amazing. These long story arcs, though, are really capturing the younger readers.
The
we
progressive
don't have a lot of patience in this country.
Well, I think progressive storytelling wins out if you're trying to sell a series, because if you've got like if you've ever heard of Akira Toriyama there with the Dragon Ball series, like that's been going on. That's been going on for decades, and he died, but like that he has a diehard fan base that are willing to buy his first book from way back in the day.
Is it a little larger a little quicker on the pacing?
Yeah, it's weird because there is a bit of a slowed pacing, but I think it works better in that manga format because there's a lot of explanations that they go into when they slow down the pacing that helps readers, like especially new readers. Like a lot of comic book writers don't understand that every book should be treated as the first book that a comic book reader has ever seen. If you're a fan and they pick up book 3 out of a 10 book series, let that reader understand, like get the reader caught up, put a little blurb at the beginning of the book, introduce them to the characters, do something, because that's how you'll get people to continue to collect. You know what I mean? Versus oh man, I got book 4 and I can't find books 1, 2, and 3. This sucks. I'm not going to read this crap. You know what I mean? Like,
with numbering on crowdfunders, I wonder if we shouldn't go to like Blood Honey and Wreck Planet and just titles like that with some numbering, but not necessarily on the cover, or just that it's understood that this is book 1, book 2, whatever. Because I think there is the catch-up factor where people are liking, they're already on issue 3, even though you have a catch-up tier. That may be off-putting to some people. That I'm already behind in the series and it's going to cost me a lot of money. I don't know. I'm kind of split with that. On numbering on campaigns.
Well, that and the perception that you're getting your money's worth is definitely a huge sell for manga. because you go into a bookstore and you see a book that's like 2-3 inches thick, and they're asking for under $10, like, and then you go over to the Western thing, and the graphic novel is like a half a centimeter thick, and it's like the same price or more.
Or if you get a thick one, it's going to cost you like $30 for that trade paper.
Yeah, and it's like, well, I mean, from a cost benefit analysis, I'm going to grab the cheaper book because it's going to give me more content.
Well, I think that's kind of what we've lost is, pulp started out that way. Comics started off as a dime, and sometimes a nickel, sometimes a penny back in the day. We've lost the accessibility, and we've lost the spinner rack and all like that, the grocery store where you can go in and go, wow, for the trees, I got to read this, and and it's kind of became niche and boutique at this way, I mean, it is a luxury item. Don't get me wrong, but it made me a reader. It really did. It's made me a reader. So I will always be. And I was just one of those that went into a pharmacy one day and went, whoa, and got my book,
Yeah, go out of the checkout line. There's spinner racks looking at you right there.
Where else can you go to different planets and universes and expand your lexicon, how you speak and learn new words and, And for me, I think I do read things without words. Don't get me wrong, but I needed that visual stimulation, and I still love it.
Yeah. Well, comics are a visual medium. If the art isn't there to pull you in, the writing is hard to sell.
Chris, I gotta say this real quick. Break away and say this: Fiendish 3. You can still sign up. Right there is the link. It's going to launch tonight.
Yep.
So if you like Fiendish. Big launch going on tonight with Rini. Go sign up right now, and when you sign up on the Indiegogo, it will be over on Indiegogo. I think she's launching at 8 o'clock. I'll look at that. You get an exclusive trading card with your sign up.
Nice.
Fiendish is and she's 12 signups away from 700. So I don't know what the count is now, but that's a lot of signups. That
it is.
Well for her. And she's this is her 5th campaign, so there's some diehard Rini fans out there. I did back her first campaign. I didn't come back for more, and it's not because I've just read it. It's because it's kind of like not my thing, just the genre type thing.
Kind
of like, well, I'm more of a superhero oriented person, with my
everybody's got their preferences,
Yeah. Now you mentioned Tolkien and other creators. Were you a big Tolkien fan and influenced by that stuff?
Honestly, I was a dumb dyslexic kid growing up, and I remember my dad, who Englishman, he found out that I flubbed a 4th grade book report when I supposedly had an oral book report on the Fellowship of the Ring, and I just flubbed the whole thing, lied through it. The teacher knew I lied through it and failed me. And when that news caught my dad, he said, no, we're going to read this. And he sat me down and read to me the entire Hobbit book and the Lord of the Rings. Yeah.
Now, and was that a bedtime story? I hope.
Yeah. It was like an hour before bed, but it was the we're gonna read a chapter tonight, and and it was like, wow, Dad, like, it's like, no, he's like, this is an important book, like, this is an important story. You're not gonna bullshit your way through this, kid. Like, this is your heritage,
And so it was heavy stuff to read some of those names and stuff.
Oh yeah, and fortunately, my dad was able to. He did the voices. Beyond now, the skin changer.
Name some of the characters in yours, because that's something that trips me up too. I may be slightly dyslexic because I do invert things, and somebody said that was probably, or my sister, I think, said that's probably, that you're slight dyslexic. My kind of weird. My younger sister that passed away before I even got to meet her. She had double enamel on her teeth.
Oh wow!
True story. So she
wish I had that.
Yeah.
No
Yeah, me
cavities
too.
for you.
I never made it without biting. Ask Mr. Owl.
A 1, a 2, a
A one,
3.
a two, a three. The world may never know. One of the greatest. You know, it is branding, right? I mean, it's amazing after decades we remember that. And where's the beef?
Yeah.
You know exactly it's Wendy's commercial.
Yeah, it's between Wendy's buns. Yeah.
And whoever thought a square hamburger was, I mean, besides Crystal's a little different. You got to fit the roll, right? The bun. But a square hamburger, I guess you get more,
Yeah,
you can
you
eat
get
the
those
edges
4
off.
corners.
Yeah. 4 corners. Yeah. 4 corners of the hamburger world. Yeah. I'd gladly pay you Thursday for a hamburger today.
Yeah,
Little
wimpy.
wimpy there. Wimpy, wimpy, wimpy. Hefty, hefty, hefty. There's another
Yeah.
commercial,
Yeah,
Uh,
that's marketing.
I
Yeah.
mean, people make fortunes with jingles and stuff like that. You probably pay. I mean, you kind of had a step down, haven't you, from gaming, designing games and stuff? That pays pretty well, doesn't it?
Actually,
As
no.
opposed to comics.
Well, I'm not trying to make a living off of comics. Like, this is my passion project. This is a vanity thing. My day job
Right.
is cybersecurity. If I tried to make money off of comics, I'd be homeless again.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, the video game industry, it didn't pay all that well. And on top of that, where you're forced to live is incredibly, like, the cost of living is incredibly high. So you really can't even, like, there's no retirement plans in video game development. You're constantly thrust to move all. Like, I've known military brats that have moved around less than me. You're constantly chasing your meal. I've been shipped out to Japan. I've lived in Tokyo, worked there. I lived in Australia, worked there. I've lived all up and down the west coast of California, San Diego, Silicon Valley, Irvine,
Wow.
California. Yeah, it just, yeah, I had nothing to show for it. Like, it was a change of life career. When the industry chews up naive 20-somethings and then spits out, like, jaded and barely employable 30-40 somethings. So,
well, I mean, you've been all over the world. I mean, at least a lot of areas. What? I mean, are you pro-American? I mean, do you
Yeah.
see America as the greatest country in the world after being in other countries, or is it like any other?
I have this philosophy that if you're not rooting for the home team, get the hell out of the stadium.
Yeah.
Well,
like, I mean, there is opportunity. This is probably one of the few countries. Well, I mean, you can look at the border situation. They're coming over here for something, folks.
Yeah.
There is work here, and there's, if nothing else. And I know immigrants have started out penniless and wound up millionaires.
Yeah.
In this country, you can't do that in every country. Is that right, Chris?
Oh God, yeah. Well, the thing that I love the most about the United States is you don't get arrested for hurting people's feelings. There are people, like, the UK is a communist caliphate now, and I say that, like, with family there, it's not a good place to be. I'm sorry, I know Carrie's there, but, like, dude, they had, like, an autistic teenage girl who like told a cop, "You look like my lesbian nana," and the power tripping cop basically kicked in her door and had her extracted from her house. There are mothers that are arrested for mean tweets on Facebook, or mean tweets or so, and it's like, we don't get that in the States, and I'm super grateful.
It's not from a lack of the communists,
Oh yeah,
try.
Yeah, Yuri Bezmenov warned us in the '80s. A KGB defector, Yuri Bezmenov, he explained exactly what was happening. He called it ideological subversion, and it was all through our left wing. And it's taken over our schools, it's taken over our media, our government. The Second Amendment is the only thing keeping us from falling into that.
I agree with you there. You can imagine what they would have done in more recent years after the pandemic and all the stuff that they pulled. If we didn't have it's the communist number one goal is to take our firearms away, our ability to defend ourselves. Absolutely. I think we've dodged a bullet. Here you go, Carrie. Here's your hummingbird moment for today. Don't always
nice.
This, look at those hummingbirds.
Oh, I miss living where hummingbirds were.
And definitely with the heat out there, hummingbirds and others, they need water. They need, so get those feeders going. I put out flowers this year for the very first time.
Oh wow.
And I have to go out there before it gets hot to water them. Otherwise, if I miss a day right now, they start to wilt and die. It's that
Oh
hot out there.
wow.
We've got like a heat index of like 107,
Oh
110
wow.
around here. I'm in
Triple
Northeast
digits.
Arkansas. Have you ever been
Oh
through Arkansas, Chris?
no, I've never been through Arkansas. There's like a handful of states I've never been to, and yeah, Arkansas, Louisiana, Mississippi.
And why would you? Nobody ever want, Bill Clinton wants to, and he doesn't even want to come here anymore.
Well,
It's
it would be
true.
nice.
It's true.
I just think that like as a bucket list thing, because my health isn't all that great, to at least
Right.
see every state before I expire.
Yeah, that's
You
on my
know,
bucket list too. I would really like to go to, Alaska and get, and
yeah,
maybe I'll take Lack with me. He's worked up there and actually grew up there.
yeah. My dad lived
And
up there.
yeah, it's probably one of the freest places besides Florida in America. Although, you know, they're pulling that election shenanigans up there too. Where they get a quorum, instead of a majority
Hmm.
for governor.
Yeah, I don't know. It's beautiful up there, though.
How do we? I mean, should our comics be not necessarily political, but have some kind of political or or at very least moral tale to them? You think, Chris?
I, I definitely agree that there should be some kind of like underlying message,
That should
but
be positive overall, right?
yeah, yeah, but like sermons are for the lectern,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
honestly, like I don't tell my readers what they should think of certain things because there's some moral stuff in the stories, and
right,
it's really really nice. I remember I think it was Dira Mar, she awesome reviewer. She's got her site, and she reviewed the first book, and she was talking about how government overreach and totalitarianism is a bad thing, and I'm like, uh you got that out of that? Cool. Like that wasn't like I'm not going to tell you if that was or wasn't part of the story, but it's cool to see somebody's interpretation of your story. You know what I mean? And they're like, okay,
oh,
that's the
absolutely.
message I got out of it. So
That's one of the wonderments to see your different artists interpret your characters differently. Put their own
yeah,
spin on it. That's a thrill, and then once you get it in print and to actually hold this in your hand and say, "I did this,"
yeah,
that's a thrill when you hold that first comic book that you produced in your hand. And I don't think that'll ever get old, for me, um, to be able to
mm,
hold these things.
yeah,
Gonna have a bunch to hold this time because
yeah.
we've got art books and sticker books and all kinds of stuff. Go check it out on Fund My Comic, Devil Flyer. But now, are you going to go to different platforms? You think eventually, or are you going to stick with Indiegogo?
Well, Indiegogo recently got bought out, so I don't know what the
Oh,
future is
did
going to
they?
hold. Yeah,
Okay.
game something bought them. But I don't know what the future will hold for Indiegogo. I
Hmm.
have some concerns about Kickstarter. I know Kickstarter has a broader reach. I mean,
Right.
it's apparent when you look at the success stories on there. But the problems that I have with Kickstarter are generally you could reach funding, and because they don't take the money out instantly upon backing, a lot of people, when you go and try to chase them down, could renege and be like, nope. And you could
Absolutely.
technically,
That's what
yeah,
happened to Roland. We were talking about the other day with Roland Mann from Silverline Comics. He actually had a guy do that to him 3 times. He told a story about where I got you funded. Now, what do I get for extra for doing that? And
yeah,
then when he said, well, that's all you're going to get is what
yeah,
on the campaign, what else you want? I mean, he was like wanting him to sweep the pot, and then he withdrew his funding. So yeah, I don't like how Kickstarter does that, but I do think, um, depending on the property, I guess, um, you know, certain properties do better at, kind of going in code, because I don't know that, we YouTubers like we're doing, Chris, are really, we're more Indiegogo people probably
Yeah.
than Kickstarter, but I know there's some like Billy Tucci and others that do Kickstarters, and I do
Oh
think
yeah.
Cowboys and Kaiju with Frankie Washington was over there, and there's
Oh
been
yeah.
there is a lot of Kickstarters done, but
Well,
I
there's a
know
lot
that,
of double and triple dipping too. You
yeah,
know.
and I know Mike Barron with his Leviathan, he was on Fund My Comic, Indiegogo and Kickstarter, and some
Yep.
may be even doing Zoop. But now, I've got to mention that you also have Infinitale Chronicles.com,
Mm-hmm.
which I will drop the link to that again. Tell us about that.
Yeah. Thanks. Yeah, that's my centralized website for the Infinitale Chronicles books and information. In fact, you can, if you go to infinitelechronicles.com, you can check out the latest books. Book one,
Mhm.
if you can actually, it leads to a link to the Amazon marketplace. You can just buy it from Amazon if you want. So there's a retail edition after the crowdfunding gets fulfilled that I release, and the retail edition is kind of like it's not the white glove treatment that you get from the crowdfunded books, because those are
Mhm.
specific. Like, I control every aspect of that book, like the thickness of the cover, the page, is it satin, is it gloss, all that stuff. Whereas when I go through Amazon, it's kind of, this is what Amazon offers, and here you go. Like, there's no interior cover printing, so there's a few things that you kind of miss out on, but you get like basically the story at a retail price. So
There was a big jump in page count with the second one. What the hell's going on? And will 3 be as large, or do you know yet?
oh yeah, three is aiming to be as large, or around that, and that's what I'm hoping to do for the 10-book series, because I'm not making just comics, I'm making graphic novels.
Well,
And
now
it's
you've already let us down on the first book, then, right? I mean, you say that number one was the start of the series, which I
yeah.
understand that was not as ambitious.
Yep. Yeah. The 54 pages was kind of like a testing the waters to see if there's any market
And still,
viability.
that's a beast on page count. I think like a minimum for crowdfunders probably 48, so that people
Mm,
really get a good story. Because
yeah.
floppies, I don't know, unless you come out with them more frequently, it
Yeah.
just seems, like we're not on a monthly basis.
Yeah.
I imagine you being the center hub of the wheel, you have like one-on-one talks with your creative crew all the time, don't you? And
Oh yeah.
that with your disabilities and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. That's yeah. I mean, I've got the whole thing written out. We do a lot of back and forth. I've got a lot of concept art commissioned. In fact, everybody that on the campaign that's backed the limited bundles will get a abridged art book, kind of like an ash can, but it's like an 80-something page art book that's got all the concept art and like
Oh, I love
some
that. I love that. I
unused
think
stuff.
fans like that, the making of type
Oh
stuff.
yeah, yeah. It goes through all the different stuff. So we've got like all the covers that you probably never see because they've sold out on
Mhm.
the first campaign,
Right.
or concept art for the characters that haven't even been seen yet. So it's a little sneak peek, a little spoilerage. I even kind of geeked out about branding and package design. So I went into show how we like designed the logo and stuff like that.
I think people like the behind the scenes stuff. That's why I kind of offered an art book later on in my campaign, was to show some of that great behind the scenes stuff.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
I think people like to see a sneak peek behind the curtain,
Oh yeah. 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 It's
who the wizard really is.
Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain.
Exactly right. Get out of here, you little dog. Should have kicked it. I mean, if he would have just kicked that little dog, it would have went sliding on that surface. Are you kidding?
Yeah, the emerald just
Right. Yeah. What's cool is that he got to play a double role. Remember, he played also the guard at the gate of Oz.
Oh wow, yeah. Wasn't he
Yeah,
one of the
Frank.
uncles too, or no? Maybe not. No, that was
Mm,
this the. Those were
I
the
don't.
three companions that were the uncles.
I'm gonna have to get an upgraded play. Well, I think I've got a Blu-ray that'll actually play it. I just got to get a smart TV that'll actually play it. But I actually
Ah.
bought for $10 a few years ago at Walmart, Wizard of Oz in 3D.
Oh wow,
I would love to see how that looks.
nice.
Now, I have seen some 3D movies like Spider-Man. I'll never do that again.
Yeah.
It's just he's too quick with the swings and stuff. You know, and I get motion sickness. I didn't get sick
Oh
during the
no.
movie, but it was too much for my eye to track and really enjoy, you know.
Yeah.
Um, Now, like maybe First Avenger when he's throwing the shield in 3D.
Mm-hmm.
I've got that in 3D. I do enjoy the 3D experience, but
Mm-hmm.
with Spider-Man, it's just too quick.
Yeah.
You know, I think it needs to be slower paced when done in 3D. You know, used to we
Yeah.
get like John Wayne with Hondo with a knife. You know, you know, Creature from the Black Lagoons was 3D movie for
Oh
the first
wow.
time.
I
I've
remember
never
Jaws
seen it in
3D.
3D, but I would love to see Creature from the Black Lagoon in 3D.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
you know, it was kind of a brief phase, and I don't think it works well in comics, although there have been a lot of 3D comics. You know, that's kind
Mm.
of on my bucket list, but down there because it is you kind of have to dual print it in red and blue. You know, but it's wild how your eye mixes, you know, and it
Well,
becomes like a 3D.
so there were these 3D glasses that I got back in the late 90s.
Hmm.
And they weren't based on the stereoscopic blue and red colors.
Oh
You
yeah,
could,
yeah,
it was like literally like you put the glasses on, they were like these clear pieces of plastic. And when you looked at like anything that had like a hard outline, it would pop forward. So like
hmm,
I had like these liquid blue t-shirts of like dragons and stuff, and you'd look at the t-shirt and the dragon would like almost raise from the image.
yeah.
And
That's pretty cool.
I'll have to do some research, but that would be a pretty sweet like stretch goal. Be like, hey, you know, if we meet X amount, but you know, your book will come with these glasses and your book's in 3D.
I would love to do, and I know some of the larger creators like Ethan have done it before, but I would love to do like lenticular covers. They're just so
Oh
expensive
yeah.
to do. I think your book would do well with a lenticular cover, you know,
Oh yeah.
because I
Yeah.
mean, I do like, I'm not saying I don't like the fantasy sort of high fantasy, high whatever stuff. You know, I wasn't really a Tolkien fan, although I enjoyed. I've never read Lord of the Rings. I would never tackle some of those names, you know. Um,
Yeah. Yeah, we
you
have
know, and yeah, I
sorry.
wanted you to name some of your characters' names. So I want to that'll tell me a lot about your book.
Yeah, so
The
it is
character.
it is an ensemble cast, and you know, as part of the trope, they do have weird names. But foolish
Okay.
me, you know, I based them off of Irish and Welsh mythology. So Carrie
I
should
think
get
that's
a
cool. I
get.
think that's cool that you actually looked into mythology and stuff because I think that can I have plans to do that more as well, you know, to look at some of these
Well,
myths.
it comes with a hefty cost though, because
Yeah.
whatever the Roman alphabet has done to Irish and Welsh and any Celtic language, it must be like a war crime or something, because what gets spelled out is not even remotely what how a name or word is pronounced. So like for example, our main hero here, the chick with the white hair, that's Queen Ashling. Okay, Ashling, and you're like, okay, was that like Ashling? Ashling? It's no, it's Aisling.
Mhm.
You know, and then her king consort husband is Kalen, and you're like, okay, Kalen, was that like Kaylen? And it's like, no, it's Caolan.
Well,
You
you may
know,
disagree with me. I think it does have its place, but like I think in terms like your logo there,
mhm,
very easily legible and readable
mhm.
and visual. You know, it's got that visual element to it. But you know, because I've seen some bad logos where you can't hardly read them. They're so stylized. And I think the
Yeah.
same thing with names, that it shouldn't be such a tongue twister that when I do that, I just kind of gloss over it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But I like to know characters' names, you know, and be able to repeat them for other people. But
Oh yeah.
when I see something, unless it's a word, now if it's like a word, like I remember doppelganger, I read that in Aztec Ace from Eclipse Comics back in
Mm-hmm.
'83 and '84 and such, and that introduced me. I'd never heard the word doppelganger, much less seen it in print. So I went and looked it up in the meaning,
Mhm.
you know, in what we call a dictionary, folks. I know they don't make those anymore, but you can just Google it, you know, or ask your little box there, you know,
Yeah.
to look that word up for you and tell you pronounce the pronunciation. You know, I'm 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 doing German. Maybe I need to talk to you, Chris, because you know some German. I'm doing like Zeitgeist. I'm doing like looking at the words. I have a lot of German characters that are based in, you know,
Jawohl.
called the 43. Yeah, I grew up with Hogan's Heroes, so I know a little bit of German. uh, but yeah, and then the meanings, you know, Zeitgeist is the great name because it kind of the spirit, you know,
Mhm.
it has
Yeah.
to do with a deeper meaning. This,
Yeah.
you know,
Well.
kind of,
Yeah. So the study of names is called etymology,
mm,
and a lot of this was unintentional because one of our like Ashling here, the player of the character, she's got a daughter named Ashling. Gee, what a coincidence! But uh, Ashling means dream or vision,
Ashland
and
Jr.
yeah, well, it means dream or vision. And our hero here starts off our story by receiving a vision in her dreams. So it was
Now, is
completely
she an elf?
coincidental.
Is she
She
an
is an
elf?
elf. Yeah,
Okay.
she's a proto elf. She belongs to a race of beings called the Althar, and this is based off of like Celtic Irish mythology. It's like the Aishi or the Seelie and the Unseelie, or the Norse Yahalsafar and Dokulfar. Like, this is your, rather than just ripping off Dungeons and Dragons or ripping off what Tolkien did, I actually went to
Right.
the source. I went directly to like what are these beings, and the War of the Trees explores something that we really don't see in fantasy, which is like the origin of the elves. Where did all this stuff start? And we take it for granted. We're like, oh, they're these eternal beings. Well, our story kind of explores that, and it shows their origins. And yeah, it's kind of a tragic origin, because they start off as pretty people with problems, and their entire world just gets rocked.
Well,
Like
elves should have a lot of life experience because I think they're supposed to be centuries old, or can be century old. They're long lived, right?
well,
Elves
well,
generally.
Well, elves are immortal by age
Okay.
until something happens. So
Hmm.
they're these perpetual teenagers. The problem is people won't grow up unless they're forced to. So it's civilization doesn't get better unless it has stresses that test it. That's why
Hmm.
certain cultures across the world are more advanced than others. And if you live in a perfect, you live in a nice, easy climate, you're not going to be forced to struggle to fight, to survive. So you're not going to
Yeah.
get tested. It's like a muscle. If you don't use it, it gets weak.
I think that's
And
why the Western thing was so popular. So because you got to see the struggle for us to go west across America. I mean, just day to day, one could only hope for to survive another day, not much
Mhm.
more than that, because there wasn't. Well, I need some flour. Well, okay, you're going to have to grind it probably when
Yeah,
you're
good
not
luck with
around.
that.
There's no there's no convenience stores. There's no grocery stores around. You're out in the middle of nowhere. You have to make do with what you have, or you have to
Mhm.
take it with you, from civilization. So, and I think the struggle, everybody can, the day to day grind, everybody can kind of, the symbol of the cross with Christ is a great symbol that's used a lot. But now him carrying the cross,
Mhm.
that daily, grind of work, of toil, I think that's even more powerful because of an image to bring people to Christ, because you look at him carrying the cross and you go, man, having a heavy burden on your back.
Hmm.
I
Yeah.
think people can identify with that if they've ever done a day's labor in their life.
Yeah. Well,
Not
that and
necessarily that they have calluses on their hands. I've never gotten calluses on my hand, and I've done
oof.
some. I've definitely worked at a million different jobs, but
Oh yeah.
not. I didn't go into farming. I'd probably have calluses on my hand,
Yeah.
but when
Yeah.
you're
I worked as a
business,
I worked
going,
in some of those jobs. It's
mhm.
trust me, not having callus on your hands is it's a good thing.
Yeah,
It's
yeah, exactly.
it.
Or on your feet.
Yep.
That factory work is not easy either.
Nope.
For 3 years, 3 months, over 3 years, I worked toward the end there, I opted out more. Um, and I was fired for a little bit, and then they brought me back, which had never happened before. And they were like, "Wow, we've never seen that happen before, Rex." It's like, yeah, but I had good grounds to be, not let go. So, um, for about 3 years, I would say, or more, I worked at factory 7 days a week. That was my
Mm,
life. I mean, and it sucks to
yes, it
work every
does.
day. You need a day off, at least one day off. And usually
Hmm.
that's just a rest to go back to work the next day.
Yep.
The weekends go by quick, Chris,
Yeah, they do. Well,
even at the job I've got now.
that's why our perception of time speeds up. It's not just because we're getting older; it's that we're only living 2 days a week.
The
You know.
terminology that you use, Chris, for the terminology of names, uh, Ryan's calling you out. And yes, I thought the very same thing, that
No, that's
ophthalmology was.
that's entomology. That's the study of bugs. Etymology is the study of names.
Okay. All right. Don't you parse words with me, mister. I'll kick you. Very, very similar. And, when you say both together, very similar, though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's unfortunate, but yeah.
Now, if I looked at your comic book collection, what would I see? Do you have a
Well,
large collection, or
oh
what
god,
would you?
yeah. I've got a
Yeah.
lot of indies. I got a lot of long boxes of indies that I backed over the years.
Mhm.
But my like corporate books, as far as like other than like a whole bunch of heavy metal magazines, a bunch of Den, a bunch of Druna, all the ElfQuest books. I got multiple copies of the same Elf book because those books are thick, and I love that series. I think the Western ones. One of my buddies handed me a copy of The Crow by James O'Barr, and that was the first time I ever got a book where the art was ugly as hell. That I could do. I thought I could do better, but the story was so amazing that I ended up rebuying it like 3 or 4 times. So I
Yeah.
got at
There,
least 3 copies of The Crow here.
there's certain stories like that I enjoy too. Uh, that I will buy repeatedly, even extra copies of. If it's not an expensive thing. Of course, like
Yeah,
big trade
and
paperback or something.
my favorite like of the big two, like from DC, my favorite collected book series of all time, or like the big book, was The Killing Joke. And the reason for
Okay.
that is because it wasn't a Batman story. People are
Yeah.
like, "Oh,
There's
dude, you like Batman?" I'm like, "No, this is a Commissioner
more.
Gordon story.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's the
Yeah.
hero of the story, and he totally proves Joker wrong. And depending on what your interpretation is in those last panels, does Batman take him out? I don't know, but
That's.
like the
I hope people aren't. I think it's the best story in Devil Flyer, at least for me. The most satisfying, because I think I've got a good story in Gray Tales with Bog, my character that's like my Swamp Thing or Man Thing character.
Mhm.
And one reason is the story's not really about him. It's about the serial killing, child killing clown.
Oh
That's
wow,
his protagonist. So that to me was more satisfying. He's just kind of like getting introduced and is adjusted, a vehicle for justice to be done for
nice.
for the children that are killed by this psychotic clown.
Yeah.
And that, yeah, I mean, really, to tell an interesting story, it doesn't need to be about the main story often. When
Mm.
I've been recently going through all 20 seasons of Gunsmoke. I'm on. See what I did there, Carrie? I mentioned it before we ended the show. Um, and Matt Dillon's not in as as time went by. He wasn't in. He didn't have to be in every story. Sometimes it could be about lesser characters like his deputy or even the bartender, or the doctor of the town, or Miss Kitty, his main squeeze, Um, uh, uh, I've been asking this question of a lot. I know this is kind of off topic, but not really. I've been seeing like Tom Tuttle and others, Jimmy Palmiotti had a Kickstarter that was a Western. Been seeing a lot more Westerns become more popular in comics, and I never really thought that they were that popular. I know Jonah Hex had a good run, and then it changed to Scalp Hunter and other things, but um, I wouldn't pick, war books or maybe Westerns as being too popular, but they did have a readership for sure. Otherwise, they wouldn't have published as many issues as they did. Not everything has to be superheroes and capes and alter egos and things like that. But why do you think that there's kind of been a resurgence like I've never even seen for Westerns of late in these crowdfunders? Why is
Well,
that?
I think it's
Yeah.
everything. Everything is cyclical. Everything ebbs and flows. Like fantasy was huge in the '90s,
Yeah.
and it kind of died down in the 2000s, or after the Lord of the Rings, kind of faded away, and it's kind of making a comeback now. But like, I'd say the same thing with the westerns, because like in the '60s, dude, you could like westerns were everywhere. Every kid had a cowboy cap gun, had a cowboy hat, had the
Yeah, but I
buckskins.
mean, there wasn't a lot of Western comics. So I guess comics missed out.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I know that like there
Hey,
are a lot
Archie.
of like, hey, there could be a lot of like Latin Western comics. Like it surprised me how pervasive comics are in like Spanish speaking countries. Like Mexico and Latin America. You get these like little digest sized black and white throwaway comics, and it's a lot of stuff is not meant for kids, but like some of it is, and some of it is like the westerns. You got the gauchos and the rancheros, and El Zorro, and I don't know. I mean, I think it is a kind of an ebb and flow where we're going through peaks and valleys, and maybe it's a return because
I
didn't.
think you're right. I think it's cyclical, and I think comics kind of go through hard times. Like Image was a great thing, and we had the '80s black and white. But we discussed this the other day a little bit that the '80s, if you were there before the direct market came in, comics were kind of in a slump.
Yeah.
And then they came out of that slump, and then they went back into a slump, probably in the '90s in a way after the Image boom.
Yeah.
So it's cyclical. Things do kind of, and if you can strike it right, like I think Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles was the right thing at the right time.
Yeah.
It was lightning in a bottle that you just can't predict. And I think they brought on a third, and that was the business director to make these contract deals and things. And so I think they took it to the next level at that point, the popularity. Otherwise, it would have just remained a popular comic book for a while, and died out possibly.
A little useless factoid here. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles were created here in New Hampshire. Eastman and Laird. Yeah, they they created it as a parody to Daredevil, But weird thing is like like you're saying, like lightning in a bottle. I don't think there's a room or there's a market for, like, I don't think Ninja Turtles could survive in today's indie markets because of the expectations that customers have or backers have for the
IDW is
quality.
still publishing it, which is crazy to me because they were like years ago, they were like 60 million in debt.
No. What I mean is Ninja Turtles, when it came out way back,
if they arrived right now,
Yeah.
you don't think?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because the quality just isn't there. People like the expectation of customers is like, I want this to be polished.
You look at the first ones, it looks like an underground comic. The artwork
Yep.
does. It was kind of like Star Wars. I'll do this one thing, and he was going to go on and do other things. And it was so popular, he had to do Star Wars, a sequel. I mean,
Yeah.
and same thing with Ninja Turtles. It kept selling out and selling out and selling out. And then about the mid '80s, they got the Hasbro deal. They got the animated deal that ran for 10 seasons. And
Oh
since
yeah.
then, they went all over the place, Nickelodeon and everywhere, with it. And the live
Yeah.
action movies. So they just kept ramping it up, ramping it up. Yeah, I know what you're saying about that. They were probably the most popular anthropomorphic thing. We talked
Yeah.
about that, that there were anthropomorphic things like Pogo and other creations out there long before Turtles,
Oh
but
yeah.
Turtles was the one that kind of made it mainstream.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
seems.
Well, I remember it was such an absurd premise that
Yeah.
it got people's attention because they're like, it was a mouthful to say back in like the 80s
It
when
was.
people are
It
like,
was. I tell this story, Chris. In the back issue bin, 2, 3, and 4. 4 was the latest issue.
Mhm.
So I was so unsure about it. I bought number 2.
Mhm.
And it was different sizes. The first one was small, the other one was big, like European magazine size. They kept
Mhm.
going up and down with the sizes on the first few issues till they standardized it.
Mhm.
So that was weird. But now it's so weird. I just took 2 home, read it. I was the very first customer the next day to buy number 3 and 4 because I read it and really enjoyed it. And
Nice.
got in on, I knew about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles long before, starting with issue 2, long before the world at large knew, about Ninja Turtles and buying the toys. And so that's kind of like, when you read comics, you're like, I go around places like, I know when I was younger, I was like, I know something you don't know. I read comics, you know, um,
Yeah.
you know, Carrie says, Chris, wasn't you on with Lori earlier this week?
Um.
Lori, I forget her last name, but I did reach out to her recently, and she also had a comment talking about, you were talking about the UK crazy.
Oh
Teenage
God.
girl from her class assignment was asked to dress to represent her culture. She arrived at school in Union Jack dress and hat and was suspended. It's madness.
It's yeah. Well,
Absolutely.
it's ethnic
That's right.
replacement. They want to
Yeah.
destroy British culture.
People kind of do that here. If you wear an American flag T-shirt or something to school, they ask you to go home. That's crazy
Yeah,
to
that's
me.
insane. That's
You
Marxist
can't show your
propaganda.
patriotism.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They
Now,
honestly, dude, we went from the Spice Girls.
if you wore the hammer and sickle on a red shirt, they probably wouldn't say a thing.
Yeah, well, they wouldn't, and
It's crazy.
that's how you know that we're infected.
Yeah.
You know, when you see that, when you see the push, they got the Che Guevara shirts and stuff, and they got the hammer and sickle. That's an offensive symbol, dude. Like,
Yeah.
I think people should be as reviled by the hammer and sickle as they are with the swastika.
I don't look at it at all as a political thing. It's not a political thing.
No,
It's a
it's
religion.
death. Yeah,
It is a religion. It's a religion
Yeah.
of death.
Yeah.
Really, it is. If you look at the definition of a religion, communism is there. They are fanatical. They never give up. It's groupthink. It's tyranny. And it's coming to a town near you. Unfortunately, in America,
Dude.
if we don't stop it.
Britain was the greatest empire the world has ever seen. It was bigger
But
than
now I
Rome.
see radical Islam in the same way. They're breeding out the population, getting in these political, power
Yep, that's how they do it.
offices, and what they couldn't do by conquering a nation through war, they're doing through just contrition or giving it over. And the UK's been affected with that. You got no-go zones with the Sharia law. They practice Sharia law, and it's
Yep,
antithetical to the Western Hemisphere. Same thing in France.
it's all over
I'm
Europe.
very concerned about that in some of
Well, if
the
you ever heard of the Kalergi plan?
I have not. Tell us about it.
So I don't want to get the channel in trouble, but like basically, this has been planned by our greatest ally. Let's just say that.
Oh yeah.
And
Oh, yeah.
the Kalergi plan is designed to eliminate the European race, and they're doing that by flooding. They're going to breed like roaches. They flood in. They're parasitizing off of Europeans, because all that tax funded stuff, they're basically getting the Brits, they're getting the French, they're getting, you know, everybody else to subsidize their own invasion, you know, their own conquest. And then they're going to get bred out. Look at all like what's happening in Luton or Rotherham. You know, the grooming gangs, as they call it. No, that is a planned. There. Notice the victims are only one race. Isn't it strange?
In 1957 in America, the communists had their manifesto issued, and we have hit in some way they have achieved in some degree, sometimes more beyond than they thought, you know. Well, especially during the pandemic years, you know, how we would just, you don't shut down an economy like that ever.
Well, McCarthy's biggest mistake was failing to get rid of them. And it's just like what happens when you don't finish a prescription with antibiotics, the infection comes back and it's harder to deal with. And we're seeing that now. We are, as Yuri Bezmenov said, we are ideologically subverted. Our institutions have been co-opted. And he did this. This is a former KGB who did it to India, telling us exactly how Marxism works and how they poison a nation from within to prime it for communist conquest.
Do you think we're starting to see the danger? Because I know we're never going to get rid of it in our lifetime, Chris, because they have been planning this and setting this up for about 100 years in America. Yeah.
Well, once they push universal basic income, the coffin slams shut on freedom. We're done.
Yeah. And if they, you know, there's been some talk about going to digital currency, you know, instead of the dollar.
Social credit scoring.
Yeah. That's very dangerous. Anytime they reset, you lose about half your value of what you have every time they reset the you know, in the 30s, in the 40s, with FDR, when they reset and got off the gold standard, everybody lost value in that. You never have a great transition with these things, and that's by design. I do believe that.
Oh yeah, we're being like, we don't have a government.
Do you think we're kind of seeing a lot of that? Because they're very open with a lot of what they do, Chris.
Well, they're open now because they know that we've been demoralized. You know, that's so. When Yuri Bezmenov tried to warn us back in the early 80s, he explained the stages of Marxist conquest. And he's like, you know, there's demoralization. And basically he goes through, he's like, all of your heroes are going to be deconstructed and told that they're really the bad guys. And all of the villains are going to be told they're just misunderstood. We're literally seeing that now. We saw Disney make a movie called Maleficent, which is Latin, and it literally means the evil one. But the story is this feminist revisioning of, you know, Angelina Jolie as a victim, and they use like a grape analogy, you know, minus the G, and they basically make her the good guy, and like, you know, the villain, literally somebody named the evil one as the good guy, and the heroes are all the bad guys. And you'll see that that's why our media sucks.
I remember when the movie Fury came out, everybody was like, that's a good movie with Brad Pitt, and I said, no, really, it's got an anti-American tone to it. That all the tank crew were cursing like sailors. They were crude. They were the barbarians at the German gate. And at the end, you see an SS officer let the last guy go. That would never happen. The SS were hard believing Nazis. That would the premise, the ending of that movie. It just seemed like a very subtle. I know people like that movie, but I think it's got a very subtle anti-American theme to it. If you
everything
look hard
does.
At it.
Every single piece of media, like, you remember when the father on the sitcoms turned into a buffoon? You know, like that's by design.
Oh, definitely, yeah. The father can do no wrong. He's just bungling, and you know.
Yeah, and he's got a smoking hot, like, in real life, no hot woman would ever be with a moron, you know, but they put them together, you know.
Do you think we're starting to turn the ship, though, and we're starting to recognize some of this? Because they, starting with really the Obama years, they were coming out so open with a lot of what they were doing to subvert the society.
Well, we are repeating history because if it wasn't taught in school, but the Weimar Republic in Berlin in the 1920s and 30s is eerily similar to rainbow stuff and the a lot of that demoralization that we're seeing pushed
and
today.
some of that's leaching into comics. I did not appreciate DC. I don't, don't have any. I mean, if you think about it, the 80s and 90s, racism wasn't an issue.
No,
It wasn't nobody. It was only, when we hit the 2000s and they've ramped it up, and then they coalesced with Obama, and now race relations are at odds with. I mean, it's a fracturing of society that we didn't really have in the 80s and 90s. Was probably the closest to racial harmony we ever had in this country.
Yeah, I mean, we had the
brought up. It was let live, and some younger people, they're born into, I've never known it when, you're not in this camp or that camp. And that's sad because we had it licked in this country, and we paid for it in this country, with segregation and everything. Well, but racists I have always been here, and they will always be here.
Well, that's the thing, is anybody that thinks that white people are the most racist people have never lived outside the United States.
Well, I mean, look, man, you don't get much more transparent or white than I am. And I'm called a Nazi, for just being who I am. I don't hate on you because you're who you are. We can't help that we're born into this crude skin and this, so you got a little bit more melanin in your skin. So what? But don't call me a Nazi. That's why Devil Flyer have openly said he's a Nazi. He's a former Nazi. Now, there were all kind of Germans. There were good ones and there were bad ones. There were some they had to go along because they had a barrel to their head, and there were some that openly believed the propaganda.
Well, so nobody talks about what happened to Germany after World War II. Mm-hmm. We're supposed to pretend that never happened,
or leading up to it. They couldn't pay all that debt back for World War I.
Well, they were so. AI has shown us some scary stuff with a certain failed Austrian painter's speeches have been translated into English. So all that scary, all that stuff is now literally in English, and you can hear what he's saying.
I have listened to a few of those on YouTube.
Yeah, and it's like, well, gee, no wonder why they followed him. These people were being disenfranchised in their own country. They're being deracinated. And he
actually, the occultic mystic, he actually did a lot of the hand movements that they do.
Yep.
He was coached on, how to, he was very charismatic. And when you take and oppress people that are starving to death and you offer them something better.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's one of those things where it's like, I don't agree with it, but I understand.
I don't agree with it, but I understand it, and I would never endorse it. Absolutely.
Exactly. I mean, hell, my grandparents had to flee France because of that. Let's just say that if they didn't, they'd be up somebody's chimney. But so with that said, we're not, a certain woman who's in prison now because she trafficked to nobody. Her dad wrote all of our textbooks. Okay. So he rewrote all of our history, and we never learned about the Holodomor. We never learned about the Weimar Republic. We never learned about the massacres of Danzig. We never learned about what happened after World War II to the Germans. These people were viciously assaulted, like civilians, children, whatever, when the Russians and the Americans came in. Mainly the Russians, I got to say.
Russians, the communists,
Yeah, what they did to the German people after World War II is morally reprehensible and disgusting.
It was as bad as anything that the Japanese or the or the Germans did during World War II, absolutely, or even the Italian, under Mussolini, which was not good by any means,
But we're not taught that. The Americans are never taught that. They're just told that the evil failed Austrian painter, and the Yazis are the ultimate evil because they're basically Satan incarnate and all this stuff. And it's like, you are gonna create another Reich. You are going to create another history repeating itself, because in order to understand why that happened, you got to look back and get the whole story. And we're not getting the whole story. We're just getting these people are bad.
Yeah. Yeah, it's criminal that we don't even know our own history in this country.
No.
And you've probably seen videos where they're going, who's vice president, and they couldn't tell you.
Isn't that disgusting? Like,
or just basic math problems or something. Yeah, I mean, it's the
yeah,
dumbing
name
down
3
of
countries.
our children. Yeah,
Yeah,
and and
they're like,
America is not higher. I mean, the Asians are very smart in their schooling. So
full
you're,
this name.
huh?
Yeah, yeah, they are.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah.
I wouldn't underestimate the Asian mind. There's, in society, that's one thing. I mean, if you just that you're afforded an education, I'm watching all these, go west type things, when there wasn't, if you learned to read and write, which is talked a lot about in Gunsmoke. See what I did there? Festus couldn't read. So he's got warrant posters, or somebody slips him a thing saying, "We need help. Come get the marshal. Let's go." He can't read it. And he's always making excuses. Well, I don't have my spectacles. He never had spectacles. He can't read. Everybody knows it in town. It's a running joke,
Mm.
That, and he has a male mule that he rides called Ruth.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I mean, an education, everybody should have a certain amount of education, but now, I wouldn't say everybody needs to necessarily be college. I wasn't necessarily college material, even though I went to college. I think sometimes it would be better to go back to a trade, like a trade
Oh,
college
yeah.
or something,
Well,
and ultimately you earn more money. You're placed, I think, a lot better.
Well, I think a lot of our educational ills started with the Department of Education. When Carter put that in, we went from like the first in the world down to like the 25th or something, and it's continually falling. We have people that are graduating high school who can't read and do basic math, and I have friends that are teachers that quit.
I think we should shoot for number 1, but I don't think we'll ever get back to it, Chris.
Possibly. I mean, the problem is we have the capacity to be the best and the greatest.
Absolutely.
And
we have more benefits here. I mean,
yeah,
not on the public dole. I'm not talking about that.
Yeah.
I think they would like to put us on the public dole and just pay you to stay home.
Well, they got rid of, so as far as our education system goes, in the 80s, they got rid of civics class and they replaced it with something called social studies. So most people don't even know how our governments work. They can't name the three, like, okay, it's the legislative branch, the executive branch, and the judicial branch. What are those? You know what I mean? It's like, which one is the president in?
And we don't even have a civil defense, like bomb shelters or anything anymore. That was, protection in emergencies was a priority. Now, if we have a true emergency in this,
we're cooked.
In this country, a lot of people are cooked. I've got I believe you should have at least 6 months worth of food and water stored up.
Mm-hmm.
Most people are going to die within the six months of a major meltdown of things.
Easily.
Which, that's one thing I would like to see Trump, and he did mention it in his first presidential term when he was running for president, was protect the electric grid. I think for $6 billion we could do it. It might take about 6 years to totally implement it, but I think we should protect our electrical grid, because if it goes down because of a solar flare or say a nuclear device over us, in the atmosphere set off, we're back to the Stone Age. Your cars won't run. Your cell phone won't run. Nothing electrical will run.
Yeah, I experienced it in about 10 years ago. Oh, God, no, 12 years ago or 14. Yeah, 13 or 14 years ago in San Diego. Some moron in Vegas cut the wrong wire and shut down San Diego for a week. We had no electricity for a week. Yeah,
wow.
And you get to really see how, like, nighttime gets really scary.
Did they send in FEMA?
If they did, I stayed in my apartment, so I was kind of, blockaded in.
Was there looting?
Oh yeah, There was
because
the
usually
first
there's
thing that
looting.
happens is
You turn out the lights and the looting goes on.
the animals come out. Yeah.
Mhm.
And I just remember I'm like, I am so glad that I stocked up on, because like I can't drink anything but water. So I grabbed lots and lots of water. And I ended up using my drinking water to like flush my toilets and you know stuff like that, like, you know, take a shower. But like, yeah, when you're a week into that and you're
things that you take for granted, like washing yourself.
Yeah. I mean, I got a week vacation from work because the office didn't have any power either. But it was like, you know, it was just all these like little stupid things that I would like was so relieved that I had it, but they were by luck, and it made me realize I shouldn't have had them by luck. Like, for example, how does your cell phone charge when there's no electricity? You know, I had a solar plug, like for my iPhone. I had a little thing that you could put on your window, and it took a long time to charge, but it was like better than nothing. And the towers were actually down at some point. Like, you could get your cell phone on, but there's no reception because all the cell phone towers were down, and there was no internet. And
it's amazing that it took a week for them to fix that little problem.
Yeah, and it really showed how fragile our power grids are, because apparently there's like 3 or 4 of them in the country, and this moron knocked out the Southwest. So it was like everywhere from like Nevada and Southern California was just gone.
And if you're in like inclement weather, say it was the dead of winter and you were in a very cold place,
died.
I mean, you got to find, what would I do for, you know, to keep myself warm, you know? If the gas wasn't turned off, I would probably cordon off with sheets my kitchen and live in my kitchen, because I'd have my stove on, you know.
Well,
I mean,
remember in
what else
Texas?
I would do.
Well, in Texas, they had a cold snap come through, and all of their windmills shut down because they weren't weather protected. So there were videos of people in Texas where those houses weren't built for cold weather. So they started having pipes burst everywhere. And not only were you now stuck with no electricity in the cold weather, but now your house is like being flooded by like ceiling, you know, collapses and
freezing
water.
freezing over. Yeah. And then you got mode problems afterwards. And then, oh my God. Yeah. And as it slow falls out, you got to get to that stuff or it keeps running.
Yep.
Turn off.
Yeah. What a nightmare.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a nightmare scenario. I know, you know, they had something happen in Texas there not too long ago that had like 800 deaths or something. That was a big thing.
Yeah.
You know? And they were criticized by the way they handled that and stuff. I went through that cold snap here in Texas.
Oh my God.
He says the fall started with no child left behind. Once that BS started, every child graduated where they had the skills or not.
Amen.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. That's why I had friends that were teachers that quit.
Wasn't it the Exxon Electric Company or Enron?
Enron.
Enron.
Ooh, Enron. That name's yeah.
That's kind of infamous.
Yeah.
Dark locking in the house. Hey, Dark. It's been a while since we've seen you. It's always good to see you, bro. Well, I hate that I got off the subject, but you're a very interesting person to talk to about certain things. And I think current social, political, if I could put it that way, things, you know, like you say, you don't want that to come into comics too much, but I can't help but that be part of society and where we are. And how do you address that in your fictional work that you do? You know, I think it is an important thing to look at where we are as a society, and that comics have a place in that, because you just talked about role models being degraded under communist rule, or Muslim rule for that matter. But to look up and see a Superman or a Heracles or Zeus or whatever is important for society.
It is. It really is.
Your modern day mythology, and to have good, positive role models is important. So, you know, I think comics are really key in that. I know there were great role models, you know, in the allegories that I read growing up, aka comics, you know.
Yeah, well, the moral degeneracy is it's a vector for an attack, and indie comics are a bulwark against that because we remember when good guys were good.
Yeah. What is the allure to indie comics for you over the mainstream?
Um, well, the mainstream, like I said, it told me it didn't want me to be their customer anymore. When I pick up a comic, I don't want a tea party or a prom or a, the Hellfire Gala or I'm Not Starfire or any of this other crap. Like, I want like what I enjoyed when I
You
was a
don't
kid.
want Asian month or like Gay Pride month or
Yeah, yeah. Was it the one where they
Well,
gave like a
they
Cuban
a
guy a
few years
burrito?
ago, DC about 6 years ago or so, they relaunched the Milestone characters, which I think were great with all black creators, was really speaking to that demographic in the early '90s, and they were relaunching those books. And most of the creators are sadly gone now, so where the
Mm.
royalties go. But anyway, I opened one up. I got all five. I said, "Why they got to launch 5 titles of this all in one month?" But I got them gathered up, right? And I opened
Mm.
up the one, and they got Black Lives Matter,
Oh,
which was all in the news at the time. They had
yeah,
Black Lives, and I said, "I don't know if it's pro or con. It's probably pro. I ain't doing this," and I put them all
yep,
back. I don't
yep,
want to see open politics that are really, like you said, preaching a hard message like that in my
yeah,
comics. I don't
yeah.
mind having some political stuff in there at all, or even addressing race like Neil Adams and Denny O'Neil did in the early Bronze Age with their Green Lantern stories, or
Hmm.
even religion, like they did, because they were really and he was lefty, Denny O'Neil, and so was Neil Adams. They were hard. They were somewhat lefty, but not like they are today. They're radicalized communists
Hmm.
nowadays. There
Yeah.
are no moderate Democrats hardly.
They're all
You
useful
know,
idiots. Yeah.
not in politics. Now, maybe supporters, there's more moderate Democrats. I'm not, but yeah, we got to do something to unify, uh, and I think entertainment's a strong incentive for people to
Yeah.
be, you know,
I
to lead
agree.
to a more positive civil society, you know.
You know, and here's the thing is, part of demoralizing the population is to make it so that they can't enjoy anything anymore. Like that's why all of
Mhm.
our entertainment media is crap now. And you see all that negativity around everything that comes out now. Everybody's miserable. Nobody wants to watch anything. Everything's garbage that's coming out, blah, blah, blah. The indies come in and they're like, we didn't get that memo that things were supposed to be garbage.
Yeah.
We didn't get the memo that we were supposed to lecture our readers, and
Mhm.
that's where I still find the escapism that that thwarts that demoralization
I do
because I'm
too,
not
and I
miserable.
I always like those books that didn't sell as well. I mentioned this to Roland and other creators the other day. I said, with Spider-Man, Green Lantern, you pretty much know what to expect. With an indie, you don't. These are all new characters to you for a
Mm.
time, And I feel like I'm more inspired and create more creativity in some. Maybe they're not as polished, but I find in that crudeness, I find more inspiration and creativity.
Yeah, yeah, amen. Like it's about the escapism. It's about distracting you from the crap that you have to deal with on a daily basis. That's the whole point of entertainment. It's why we like fiction. The good guys have
Ron
a chance to
James
win it.
from Octagon Comics says politics killed my creativity for a long time. Fiction was no longer enjoyable.
Exactly, exactly, and that's by design. That's
And that's by
designed to
design, right? I
demoralize
was
you.
going to say that, but I figured you would say it too.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I mean, well, no, I mean, if you're in the know, you're in the know, brother. What
Yeah.
twin powers activate in form
Bree!
of, yeah, you know, uh, a street roller to roll over all these people that are disillusioned,
Yeah.
these dyed in the wool people that are trying to change. The old adage, why fix something if it's not broke? You
Yep.
got a lot of malcontents, and that's what communism plays on is malcontents within,
Well,
and to make people malcontent.
it's also designed to divide and conquer us. If you noticed the
Exactly.
oppression Olympics,
Fragment.
yeah,
Hmm.
we're that's why it's called United We Stand, Divided We Fall. They know that. That's
Yeah.
why they couldn't get us with the way that the Bolsheviks got the Russians to kick off the communist revolution over there is they used, the bourgeoisie versus the proletariats and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we here in America, we have social class mobility. We have people that are born poor that can become rich. Like, look at half of the NBA. Those guys were like born in the ghetto. Now they're richer than any of us,
Absolutely.
And here, so how do you
stars, right? They may eat with their hands. They may be barbarians. They must curse like a sailor. But man, those rap stars earning millions and millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars,
more than we'll ever see.
and a lot of that I can't help but designed again.
It is
also you got a cultural divide there. Not that I can't appreciate rap music. I don't. Most, it's
that was it was a Bolshevik propaganda, anyways. Like, they did a real number on the black communities or the black Americans.
They have, yeah. I mean, the
that was just rehearsal.
So great. 50 years later.
No, dude, how do we go from Motown and the Harlem Renaissance to mumble rap and twerking? The greatest trick these
Smokey
Bolsheviks.
Robertson.
Yes.
Dude,
Michael Jackson.
Aretha Franklin. Marvin Gaye. Come on now, that's some talent. Tina Turner. Turner. Come on.
Yeah, and they went from that to convincing people that a simian mating ritual of twerking your behind and presenting it for a male to mount is acceptable. Yeah, that's they're like, that's acceptable, and it's like, that's a humiliation ritual, guys. Like, you should. Oh, that's our culture. No, it isn't. You guys are better than that. You're people. Those are animal things. Like, and they're like, no, that's just the times. Get with the times, pops. I'm like, I have seen this before. Go look up the Weimar Republic in Germany and look up guess what the books that those Yahtzees were burning were. They never talk about the actual books that were being burned.
Yeah.
There's a reason for that stuff. Like, we're repeating history.
So how do we get out of this besides making good comics with good commentary on where we should be as a society? How do we get out of this, Chris?
My thing is just I try to lead by example. Like, if I can provide entertainment for people, that's all I can do as a storyteller. Is I can try to provide entertainment and a distraction from the real world enough so that people have that entertainment escape that they're not getting,
and that feel good
stuff.
Feel good.
Yeah. Inspire people. I want people to. So, like, what I'm planning to do with my book series actually is, because it was based off of a role-playing game system that I had developed, was the idea is that I get the 10 books out there, and the 10 books will serve as a historical primer for the universe, for the world, and then produce or publish the role-playing game afterwards and say, okay, these stories were made with this game system. Now make your own stories with it. I want people to have that, feel empowered to be like, okay, I'm making stories and I'm being taught kind of the basics of story structure and all this stuff through a tabletop role-playing game. And I'm having fun doing it. And I'm getting, collaborative storytelling with my friends. And not only do we have fun doing it, but we actually have something that people might want to actually, hear about or read or see afterwards.
Now, I don't know. Where do you think the future of crowdfunding is going in the next 5 years?
Unfortunately, the pond is shrinking, and what I'm foreseeing is that a lot of parasites.
By that, you mean we're losing supporters?
Yeah, by quite a bit. And I think what happened was the industry, the big corporations saw they saw the money that was being made by these independent crowdfunded projects, and they realized that these corporations are starting to fail, so they jumped ship, and they're now big fish in a little pond, and they're eating up all of the ecology there. And what's happening is people aren't going to get the no name. They're not interested in the smaller guys anymore. And that the pie just gets smaller and smaller and smaller. And eventually something's going to happen. You're either going to demoralize everybody that's small and just they'll leave. And we've seen that. I've seen that in the 4 years I've been in indie comics now. Or 5 years, actually. I've watched a lot of people come and go. They go in for about a year or so. They have their YouTube channel, do whatever, and then they just vanish. and that's going to become more and more common until there's only a very small few people left, and they're usually going to be the bigger guys.
Yeah.
So,
Wow. Yeah.
I don't know, man. I mean, that's maybe it's a doom thing. I don't know.
Well, Chris, thanks for coming on and discussing things even beyond your comic. You're in it now. When do you think that your In Demand will stop, and will you ever go over to any other platforms with this book, you think?
Well, once, yeah. So once I think it's probably going to take 2 to 3 weeks, maybe 4 weeks to get everything shipped out and delivered. I'm hoping for less time than that because, like I said, I'm taking the next 8 days off to do this. And when I finish fulfilling everything in that 4 weeks or whatever, I'm going to end on In Demand, get all that stuff fulfilled as well. And then once everybody has that in their hands, then I'm going to make the Amazon edition based off of whatever of the 3 editions that got back the most in this campaign. That will be my retail edition. And then from there, I don't know, when we start book 3's campaign, I like Indiegogo, but like I said, I don't know what its future is going to be with this merger because they've been hemorrhaging funds. Like, they're not doing all that great. So if they go under, I can't obviously use Indiegogo, so I might have to go somewhere else. I might go to Kickstarter, but like I said, there's that caveat that even though it has a broader reach, I don't like the idea of saying, hey, you've reached funding, trying to track everybody down, and then nobody funds it.
Mine's over on Fund My Comic. I know several creators, even some of the bigger ones, are going over there now. You ever think you'll go over to Fund My Comic with this? I think with you mentioned something about a role-playing game. Now, I know that's years off into the future after you do your 10-issue story arc, but they do games over there as well. So it seems like that would be a good platform to go to. Plus, they're only charging 1%.
Yeah. That's
you can't beat that.
Yeah, I'm questioning how they can make money off of the like. But I don't know. I don't know what the future will bring, especially with what's happening with Indiegogo. Because if that gets annihilated, then I'm out of action on Indiegogo, and I'll be orphaned. I'll have to find another crowdfunding platform.
How about a website? I mean, a lot of people are doing websites.
Yeah, I got a website, but like, I know Bancroft has his, and I've backed a lot of stuff from his website. But I don't know, so the website kind of bothers me in 2 ways.
You probably got a core group there, but you're not getting the
growth.
You had to make a conscious decision to go there, and you're not getting that stray that might just see it and go, oh, that's cool.
Yeah, well, that, and like, I don't like keeping an inventory because like when I went to Amazon, it's all print on demand. So it's a fire and forget. Once I put it up on Amazon, the only thing that I'm even involved with is I get at the end of every month, I get hey, here's a check. 10 people bought your book, But like, for me, it is a hassle to fulfill stuff, especially I have to get up and move around and go to the post office and do all that. That's why, like, I'm only leaving In Demand on for a short period of time. And that's mostly what the web, like having a website marketplace, it does is like people have the expectation of if I buy it from the website, then it should ship within like 24 hours. And it's like, that becomes, now I have to manage inventory. I have to get all this stuff, pack it all up, and then fulfill it. And it's like, instead of having one annoying fulfillment after the end of a campaign, I'm going to have several bite-sized fulfillments throughout, maybe once a day or once a week.
It's like eBay for me because I've sold on eBay for about 20 years now, and it's it's great to make a sale, but you have to wrap it up and get it out quickly. You can, so you're making a lot of trips to the post office that you normally would do.
And once the snow starts falling, that makes things even more complicated.
Absolutely. Before I moved into this house, I was about 2 blocks away from a post office, so that wasn't too bad. But when it's across town, and like you say, weather, it's kind of the difference in having like a physical store which has its perks, its benefits, and its drawbacks, especially in inclement weather. You're not going to get people in that store. But now, if you have a virtual store, they can buy from you 24/7, even when you're asleep. It's like passive income.
Yep. And that's what Amazon has done for me, is that, like, I don't even have to think about it. I put the book up there and it's all print on demand. I'm not maintaining any inventory. I don't have any books. I don't have to ship anything. Amazon does all of that. I just get a nice check.
I didn't catch your second silent point on that. You know, you said there was two drawbacks to sort of the having the website and going that route.
Yeah. Well, that, and you have to pay like a monthly fee that can be expensive because you have to pay the online marketplace, so like Shopify or whatever you're leveraging.
Maintain it, update it, and everything.
And if you're not making sales that month that cover those costs, it's costing you. So, yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, I can see that. You know, I know some creators have done that, but it's almost like, you know, like comics, like you could go to a grocery store, you could go to a pharmacy, you go, wow, you know, there's comics. I've never seen this before. You really can't do that with just, you know, you might be able to do that through crowdfunding, but not, you know, if you just your own website, unless it's a huge website, you know, like if you've got a lot of money to put into it and promote it and whatnot, there's ways to make the website huge, you know, but still, I think for the smaller creator, it's like, yeah, you miss out on that factor of people just tripping over their feet and oh, this is a comic. Wow. Okay. And that, you know, I wasn't expecting this, and buying it from you, you know, they almost have to know you're there and be on board with what you've been doing. And
well, there's also consumer trust. I mean, you're asking a stranger to give them, you know, their credit card to this like unproven site, and you're like, is this going to get stolen?
So last question, how do you view that? How do you instill that trust with your customer base?
Well, I mean, I put my name on my company. I mean, Chris Fisk Media, you know.
You're not hiding, even though you haven't shown us your face tonight. I hate that you show your face on others, but not on mine. No, you won't do that. He has before. He has.
Well, it's, you know, I figure if I continue to deliver, you know, I use the old Yankee business ethic of, you know, you paid for it, I'm on the hook. I deliver.
You're a proven entity at that point. After you deliver a few times.
Yeah, dude, my first campaign, like, I had to deliver in the height of COVID. I had to deal with New Zealand and all their garbage, where I spent like $150 to send a perk that was probably worth maybe half that to New Zealand, and then it got rejected at the freaking border because it was from the United States. They sent it back, and the dude that backed it, he was pretty understandable about it. And I'm like, no, this isn't your problem. Like, this is my problem. Like, I got to get this
into the UK, and they got a VAT tax.
Yeah. All that crap. It's ridiculous.
And shipping has went crazy just since my last book, a couple years. A stamp's like 78 cents now. It's crazy.
Oh, God, yeah.
One stamp.
Well, I priced out shipping. This is how pissed off I am about our postal service. I priced out my shipping just before I launched the campaign. I sent out advanced copies of my books all across the country, all across the world, to various select people to test to see how much it would cost to send it to these regions. I got the costs, and then I started the campaign, and then midway through my campaign, the United States Postal Service goes, surprise, every cost just went up by like 53%. Yeah. So all of my shipping, I got to eat 53% of that because I can't change the shipping costs after the campaign launches and people back stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Now you have digital tiers, so that helps too. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean,
for international. Yeah.
And
Chris, it's been a pleasure, bro. We could talk for hours, but I got to let my dog out. She's looking at me like, you don't love me anymore. And
I'm gonna water some flowers in here.
yeah, and she will too. Say the magic words and we'll get out of here. Keep collecting.
Yeah, keep collecting.
Hey, see there? Nailed it in one. If he could do it, any